because there are lots of good ideas that I've had that I've been told wouldn't work.
Like Lunar Land?
Shocking.
That's a great idea.
Has Tim ever
Who
told
wouldn't
you?
want to be served both moon food and earth food at this like getaway camp? Like there'd be a moon menu and an earth menu, and you could choose which menu you wanted to choose from, but you can't have both.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the Week 12 spread picks, game previews, predictions, Cust Corner, and everything else, including Geoff. The Jets firing GM Joe Douglas. Your thoughts?
He seems like a pretty decent talent evaluator, but in the end, some crucial mistakes and it'll fall on him. I feel like he's from the Ravens tree, so he'll probably end up back with Baltimore or with the Chargers because that's how it works now.
Well, we'll get the assessment of the coin on the firing and maybe who could be responsible for this. Is it his own doing? Is it the owner's doing? We'll find out from one Mr. Tim Undercust.
Tim Andergust.
That's not my name.
You excited for a new GM coming in? Is Aaron going to be the GM?
I mean, it was inevitable that he was going to go. He was a lame duck if things didn't go well because he was on a lame duck contract. And so, I mean, it's not surprising the Jets are going to have a new GM, but why you do it in November rather than wait the season out, I have no earthly idea why. But this is the team that fired their GM after they let him run the draft back in, like, I think it was 2018. So like, this team doesn't think things through sometimes with the GM. But, you know, Mr. Johnson is the de facto GM right now, and he was the one who made the firing of the head coach. It wasn't Douglas. So that was also a clear sign that Joe Douglas was simply just, you know, keeping his seat warm until a new GM comes in place. So, yeah, I mean, every week we have to make news. We're not allowed to be the team that doesn't make news. And so we're on bye. We can't be favored by 12 points against somebody this week to make news. So this week we'll fire our GM. It doesn't make any sense, but not much has made sense this year. He's a decent talent evaluator for some things. He nailed some draft picks. Absolutely nailed some draft picks.
Tim, I heard...
He also drafted Zach Wilson. He also drafted Becton. He also drafted...
He constructed a team of 22 all-pro players this year. That's your words.
I didn't say he had 22 all-pros. What I said was he put together a roster that on paper should be excellent. Yeah. But that hasn't come to pass. And he's made some great picks. He tends to make more good picks in the first round and second round than he does later, but he's made some bad ones too. And in the end,
the Reddick debacle this year.
The Reddick debacle.
Like a lot of things were out of his
great
hand.
Example.
A lot of things were out of his hands, but at the same time, he did enough things in that market where your time is up. How many coaches did he hire, Tim?
Just Sala.
Woody Johnson, you guys might be the biggest embarrassment in the league. Like bigger than the Cowboys. Their quarterback is hurt.
I mean, they totally might be the most. It's them or
When
Dallas.
I do my rankings at the end of the year, holy shit, are you in for it? The firing of Salah, in hindsight, was as dumb of a move as there has been in the league this year.
Certainly hasn't worked.
All you had to do was get rid of that kicker. You changed the kicker like a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks before you actually did, and you are still part of that hodgepodge in the AFC back door.
Kind of glad they aren't, because it wasn't going to go well. Like, this team has got just problems. So whatever. I mean, what it means is that it's an complete open slate for the team to hire someone if they wanted to bring in a rock star.
And the nerve of you. Like, I was disgusted. More disgusted than you eating that food out of a box.
That was so good.
When you are already putting air in the tires of next year's Jets.
Oh well, this team is but it's so talented, Geoff.
Then
That's why.
Then why would you fire the GM if he's constructed the hypothetical dynasty of the New York Jets?
Because clearly he was no longer working with it was
Well,
no
you
longer.
need a clear deck, Pat. If Ben Johnson's going to consider coming to your team and taking over Aaron Rodgers at the end,
Why
Or
would
maybe
why would
why not give Dan
anyone
Lanning everything?
why would anyone want to go to the Jets at this point?
Because
no,
it's New
yeah, well,
York.
that's the thing. I think it's more attractive. It's almost like you're going to hire a coach who will be able to almost hire his de facto GM. Like, because I don't even know what I'm saying. And I made a face when I made that Ben Johnson comment. So I don't know if you actually saw it. Like, I wasn't being serious. That guy's not going to Woody Johnson's shit show.
You were being
it's not
serious.
an attractive job.
You were being
Despite
serious, but it was more like Yahoo serious.
Despite Tim's proclamations about how ready they are to be, and maybe they're a coach away from, well, last year the Chargers won 5 games. It's a worse roster than a year ago in some respects.
I don't know that that's true.
Well, no, I mean, coming into the year, people thought it was.
The better
And a
roster
coach has
than
turned them
usual.
around.
A coach should turn. Look, I mean, this. It's an open.
Wait, you think people thought the Chargers were more talented in August of this
No,
year versus
we're
last
talking
year?
we were talking about the Chargers. Why are we talking about the Chargers?
Well, you just said that this year's team is more talented.
The Jets. We were talking about the Jets. Why the heck are we talking about the Chargers?
Because I said maybe a coach is all you need, like the Chargers.
Oh well, but but that's not just a coach. That's a coach and a whole mindset change.
That's
like
the coach.
We need more than that. We need more than just an excellent coach. We need a coach who can actually import a culture. And some of the best coaches can't do that. Like, it takes a really special coach to do that. I'm willing to roll the dice with just about anybody. To be perfectly honest, I'm willing to give him full control. If Aaron's on board with it and if Mr. Johnson's on board with it, give the guy the full control. I mean, this year, because it has been so unsuccessful.
Excuse me?
It's been a full what?
Let him be the GM? Is that what you just said?
Let the coach be the GM. Why not? If he wants it.
I thought you meant let Aaron Rodgers be the
no.
coach
Let
and GM.
Let the coach be GM. This year had super high expectations, and the failure of those expectations has meant direct accountability for failure. Saleh was held accountable. Mike Williams was held accountable. Joe Douglas has been held accountable. The people who have failed the Jets have found the door.
What about the quarterback? Because he's the guy who's really failed them the most, and he's just getting everyone fired.
What about the defense? How many 2-minute drills have you given up this year?
Saleh doesn't coach anymore.
But you said that he was the problem.
Ulbricht's going to be gone at the end of the year too. It's going to be a complete sweep clean of everything. And I actually disagree with you. I think that given the amount of blue chip talent that the Jets have, a pretty high first round pick, a quarterback who you really only have to be into for a year before you could draft a new one if you wanted. And it's in New York.
So which coach wants to take over a lame duck quarterback?
For a year?
Who wants to go into a building with Aaron Rodgers, I think, is the better question right now. No one who has any sort of self-respect for trying to be a good GM or coach. You're going to have to go off the scrap heap and hire the Brandon Staleys of the world and hope you get lucky.
No, I don't think so. I think you can bring in a tough-minded coach that can challenge.
You want to retread?
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what Aaron Rodgers wants. That's going to help him.
Do you want to retread? What do you want?
Mike,
you want a
Mike
retread
Vrabel?
or some hot shot coordinator?
No, I want somebody who's been a head coach before.
So Jim Caldwell is what you'll be asking for.
I actually think Mike Vrabel would be perfect for the Jets.
You're not. I'll give you that. I will give you that.
Do you think he's going to get along with Aaron Rodgers? Let Aaron Rodgers do his shit now.
No, he won't.
And then he'll get fired.
Miss Amy got rid of Vrabel because he wasn't adapting to good guy culture. That's essentially the nuts and bolts of it in Tennessee. So he's the guy who would probably tell Aaron to shove it.
And what?
But I think to do it tactfully. I just think that would be healthy.
I'm not saying
But Aaron has to be on board with it. Like, obviously, he needs to be on board with whatever we do.
Why are you even talking to him about this? He might be I mean, there's no guarantee that he finishes this season, is back next year, doesn't just retire. Maybe he'll get traded to Minnesota. There's a possibility.
You're into him for like $50 million next year. So where's he going? Nowhere.
NFL media is really lucky because when the Jets and Cowboys are like really bad, those are it's weird how, like, because everyone always wants to know what Jerry has to say. The Jets just always keep something in the stories, and those are such, there's so much oxygen around both of those teams for a potpourri of reasons, different ones, that it's like a blessing to NFL people, reporters, insiders, when those two teams are in the middle of cluster.
They're the two marquee franchises of the NFL. They're each conference's marquee franchise.
Different.
They are.
No.
They're the two marquee franchises in each conference. And when they're both floundering, and the reason that's true is because Geoff just explained it. Because when those teams are really bad, it's everyone's favorite story. And when they're really good, they're everyone's favorite story.
That's not true. The Cowboys, you're right. The Jets, you're completely wrong. The reason that this Jet story continues to be a thing is because of Aaron Rodgers. No one cared. No one cared. No one cared when this was the Jets and Sam Darnold. People just tuned it out.
That's not wrong about that.
History. That's revisionist history.
No, it's not.
That is not true.
We talked about it because we laughed at you, but like in terms of national media, it is only like the Sam Darnold thing became national media when he was scared of ghosts because that was hilarious. This is when hilariously tragic things happen to the Jets, then it was a story.
Wilson was accused of sleeping with his teammate's mother, or
there you go.
I can go through a litany of things that were like. Front-page stories in part because they were Jets stories.
No, I think you're conflating the two things. Like, they were hilarious stories, so we all paid attention to it. Without Aaron Rodgers, this Jets team just is evaporated. No one talks about it. They're like, man, what a shit team. All right, they're Carolina. Move on. But when the Cowboys are bad, that's a real story because it's fun. Like, the worst thing for the league is the Cowboys being 8-8. Like, you want them to be like 14-3 or 3-14. That is the sweet spot. It's like the Lakers. You don't want the Lakers like in the play-in. You want the Lakers being really good or really bad. Although they're rarely really bad. But that's what you want, to have those talking points.
Not wrong.
Yeah, no one cares about the Jets for Rodgers.
They do care. It's an attractive
You
spot.
care.
Well, yeah, I care.
And you care. Jets Reddit cares, and your carefully crafted timeline of sycophants who like the Jets. Yeah, they care. The national media doesn't give a shit if it wasn't for Rodgers.
I think you underestimate what
it means. I feel like you've been asked this before.
Them.
I don't remember if it was this show or one of the other shows because I know you were asked this. But would you want Dion?
At this point, yeah, sure. Why not, man?
I'm
not saying he's like my first choice, but sure, why not? Bring the biggest story of coaching into the biggest quarterback story, into the biggest city, in the NFL. Like, you can't have more ratings than that. That's nothing but eyeballs.
And you'll brag about all the primetime games you have when we do the schedule release.
I'll tell you right now,
spring.
we will have 1 or 2 primetime games next year, and they will both be very, very, very early in the season. I can promise you that.
You essentially bragged about, like, you did your shtick again on Sunday night, where you bragged to people that the Jets will probably make the playoffs by Thanksgiving again next year.
They probably will. If I really think after 2 years of everything going wrong,
probably will. They haven't made the playoffs in 15 fucking years.
That this year, the next year, I think things should turn around. Like I just think that they're due for a stretch of good fortune. Plus, I just think that another year together will help Rodgers and everybody. And I don't know. I think people will. I actually think this will be a learning experience. I think people will come away from the season having learned something, and will put that into practice.
People are learning you're more insane than they thought previous.
No, you have misbehaved very poorly this year,
Geoff.
Oh,
this year isn't even close, by the way. Unless Geoff does something pretty dramatic here. You were just piling it up week after week with we said it earlier. You have Stockholm.
Fact checking.
You have Stockholm syndrome with Aaron Rodgers, and people are like really weirded out by it.
No.
Everyone
I mean,
else
like,
sees that he is deteriorated. He's a lunatic. He's
Well, he
killing
has
this
to-
franchise. And you're like, no, not Aaron's fault. Everyone but Aaron's fault.
Well, he's not playing as well as he could play. And some of it is his fault. But it's not his fault that the team can't tackle. It's not his fault that for the second time this year, a team went the length of the field at the end of the game to win on the defense. It's not his fault that the coach decided to call timeout after trying to draw a team offside when you needed that timeout. What part of that is his fault?
No one
It's not
wants
his
to.
fault
No
the
one
kicker
wants to play.
kept missing field goals.
Listen. If he has control of this team, he gets the coach fired. He gets the GM fired, and it doesn't seem like his teammates want to play for him. That's his fault.
Well, I mean, that third part is only true if people say it's true. I have no idea whether people want to play for him or not. Like, I'm sorry. I guess I don't have your insider knowledge of how people in the Jets locker room feel.
Jeff, do you think anyone
But-
wants to play for Aaron Rodgers? Are they giving 100% for Aaron Rodgers? No.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't think he's like having the boys over.
Yeah, Devontae Adams over once because he was
I
on TV
guess.
at the time, so they could show that live. What a good guy.
No,
I don't know.
I get. I mean, that's
You
a
want me
thing,
just to
from
give
a
up on
previous
next
life,
year
though.
before it begins? Like, I'm not going to do that.
Well, you've already said they're
what?
going to. Okay, so I'm not asking you to give up on them before the year begins because I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be there. And then you have clinching a playoff spot by Thanksgiving. There's a happy middle ground of that.
I mean, on paper, this team should be excellent. Should be is the operative word.
Maybe, like I said on Sunday night, and Jeff, I'll throw this to you because I've already asked him. Maybe Tim is not the talent evaluator he thinks he is. Maybe these guys just aren't that good.
Okay. On that note, sometimes like, I love Tim. I love him so much. And
Now you're
anyone
gonna
should be
fucking
so
knife
lucky.
him.
Yeah,
I'm so lucky to have a friend.
Here we
like
go.
Tim. No, there is a block, man. Like in the same way he can't see Aaron Rodgers like everyone else sees it. He can't see that he needs to tip a bartender just because it's one beer. And he compared it to getting a coffee.
Well, they're
Oh,
both
God.
beverages that I'm purchasing outside of my house. And really, what is the distinction between flipping your finger so that the beer comes from a tap versus flipping your finger so that the coffee comes from an urn? But one, God forbid you tip on that. And that one's not
What?
permitted. No one tips on that.
You can. I didn't
The
say
second-
no. Hold on. Now you are taking things out of context. People tip at Starbucks. You're just not obligated to tip.
You said, and you can listen
I said
to the
that
tape,
I said that
people
I don't.
People don't tip. People don't tip.
I said
that
there
doesn't
are
mean
people that
nobody
don't
tips.
But you're
most people don't.
you're framing it that nobody tips, and that's not what I
Most
said.
people don't tip at Starbucks.
I told you that I
But
don't
the idea-
tip at Starbucks,
and
and
the
people
idea
don't
of doing
feel
almost the
obligated.
exact,
to.
but almost the exact same procedure, but just with a cold beverage rather than a hot beverage. That is an unquestionable.
Tim, put it this way:
tipping situation.
anytime that
It
you,
is.
how about this? How about anytime you buy alcohol at a restaurant, you're tipping. But make that the rule
Anytime.
of thumb. Yes, every time.
Every time.
But coffee, no. And the reason
This-
is
coffee's optional.
How is
What's
this
the reason?
not? This is not complicated for 99.99% of
It's the
people.
same thing
Only
as the
you.
Monster Sticks pack.
it is complicated because it's capricious.
It's not.
It's the
Everyone,
same thing as
everyone
the
can
Monster
understand these
Sticks.
rules of society, except for you. You don't want to exist in our society. You want to play by your own rules, which is
actually
I don't
don't.
want to spend money. That's it.
I actually don't want to play by anyone but I want to play by the society's rules. I just don't know what they are.
How does everyone else have this
No,
figured
you
out?
don't know because when you're told what they are,
Yeah, you get into a
with
fight about it.
You fight it. When all your friends, like I agree, I'm wrong a lot. And when like the majority of my friends are like, dude, you're wrong, you got that one wrong, usually I'll like trust the room on it. You, when like everyone tells you like you are wrong on this one, and they're telling you the rule, you are still telling us we are wrong. Or
Because
everyone's wrong.
I have every reason to believe they're just trying to get me going. I have every reason to believe that they're just trying to antagonize me.
Oh, you
So
are the
I'm
type
not
of
so sure
person.
I can trust the straw poll.
100% of people are telling you one thing, and then you will go on the internet and find one person who agrees with you and be like, see, it's 50-50. Like, people are up in the air about this. That's what you do. Just because you want to be cheap.
And there's like a whole Mayo media side industry of like a couple dozen people who are committed to always telling you you're right.
There we go again. No one can possibly agree with me.
No, I'm
if
not
they agree
saying
with
that
me,
there aren't
if
some
someone
genuine-
agrees with me, therefore they have to be involved in some sort of, web of lies to keep me going. No one can genuinely agree with anything I have to say. You wonder why then I can't just take with all sincerity when the room says X, Y, or Z. Because apparently
all
everything's
I'm
this grand
saying is you have
conspiracy
yet
against
to
me.
catch on. You have yet to catch on that when the exact same people for like 7 years tell you you're right about anything, you can't catch on yet that person is part of like a Mayo media hardcore fan ecosystem. Like you still use that person to vouch for you.
I don't have any reason to believe that they're lying.
Did you know that, Geoff, here was a fun fact that because I had a list of things that we learned in the room. I was going to get Jared to present them, but I totally forgot about it. But one thing we learned about Tim, I don't know if this has ever come up before because I completely forgot about it. Did you know that Tim is afraid of car washes?
Yeah, we did learn about
Did we
that.
do this?
That's like 6-year-old like children sometimes are afraid of.
Oh, my kids
washes.
love the car wash.
I am terrified of a car wash. Oh my goodness. I that scares me. Like legit scares me.
What part scares you?
I'm afraid of like getting stuck in there. I'm afraid if a window is down. I'm afraid I find the whole circumstance extremely uncomfortable and I don't like it.
Are you like really bad at putting your car on the track?
Awful.
I bet.
Awful. And I drive too fast at the start and where the air blows really strong, where you want to drive really slowly. I'm bad at car washes to begin with, like really bad, because they don't teach you that. So I don't know how to do it right.
You brag about being good at flashlight holding.
I am good at flashlight holding. I am good at that.
But there's a skill a skill to automated car washes. You're saying
there is. You have to do it in a particular way.
Like my grandma can do it. I don't know
to get
what
the
you're
full
talking
effect.
about.
To get the full effect, you've got to do it in just the right way.
It tells you when to stop.
Like you wait.
No, but like as you enter,
tells...
you have to like enter really slowly, right?
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
It says
on flashing instructions. The instructions are flashing and they're elementary.
Oh,
what
I
is
see.
the issue?
I see. If it's something that I know how to do really well, like flashlight holding, that's of no value. But if it's something that I have trouble with, everybody knows how to do that. Again, you wonder why you guys are giving me a complex. It's stuff like this.
Geoff, do you know who was not happy? The two people in our group chat that Tim claimed he was more mobile than. They were.
Well, they're both injured.
Unimpressed.
Well, again, I think because they don't understand what mobility is. They thought it was like a race. It's like, that is not what I'm talking about. That is not what I mean by mobility.
When asked about how you would gauge mobility versus someone, we asked you and you couldn't come up with an answer.
I'm pretty
like
sure I can
movement.
touch my toes.
Okay. You also have a devastating knee injury.
You're right. And I'll still take you out. I'll still take you out.
I never said I would beat you. I just
but
I
your
agreed.
claims,
I agreed that Cam would beat the both of us, and I stand by that.
I don't know where that comes from. I'm not even claiming to have any. Do you know that I have literally, when I say I would win this, 100 meters might be a little short for me. I guarantee I'd win like the 400 meters.
You're a distance runner?
Yeah, sorry there, Prefontaine. Didn't realize that.
No, this is what I want to say, though.
Raise your hand if you've run a half marathon. My hand is raised.
Okay.
I have yours, Jeffrey?
Now, hold on. Did you actually run the half marathon or did you complete a half marathon? How much walking was involved in your half marathon?
Towards the end, there were.
So you didn't run a half marathon.
I did run a half marathon.
Yeah,
That's the verb, to run a marathon.
But you didn't actually run. You walked.
Okay.
In small sections here or there. The vast preponderance of it I ran, sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is actually important subcontext if we actually do this. Since I've had my knee surgery, it's an embarrassing story. I've only run one time, like period, one time. And I didn't do rehab until the end. I did it till like, and they say people do rehab until it's like good enough. I probably went a little beyond good enough. So when I was in Florida last year, my wife messaged me that, she messaged me that she thought she saw someone at a cafe up the street when she was out on a walk.
Was it Trump?
Close. It was Dave Portnoy.
Okay.
And it's the sort of place where he would have been. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go there. So I went there. And then I got there. It's like up the street, like a block and a half. I got there and my wife is like, "Where's the baby?" And I'm like, "Oh shit." So I sprinted back and there was the baby. So that was the only time. And my wife was furious, like fucking furious.
No
Deservedly
shit.
so. Furious. And here's the thing. She was upset, but in my head, I'm like,
You
I
told me.
tested my knee, and I'm really happy how it responded in that moment. So there's that. So that is the only time that I have like run. Like I've emptied it, like I've given it what she's got.
Yeah, but you were on such an adrenaline rush at that moment that you can't replicate that in a normal 100-meter dash. You can't simulate that sense of panic and fear to allow you to
I don't know.
to reach those heights.
What do you think is more of an adrenaline rush and running out of fear, leaving the baby somewhere by itself, or losing to you in a 100-meter dash? It's like equivalent. I think.
I don't know where the 100-meter dash idea even came. It's not like I was out here proclaiming that I would outrun all of you. I never said that once. I never would say that. Other people started saying it. I didn't say a word about one way or the other.
I didn't say that you did. I just set a line between you, Cam, and Geoff that I think that Cam would be an overwhelming favorite in a 100-yard dash.
I think my advantage against Geoff,
outside of Cam throwing the race on purpose and betting on one of you two.
I mean, the advantage I would have against Geoff is that I have much longer strides.
Okay, that's true.
You don't, though. Like I have mini strides. I'm not a big guy. I guarantee you, my running stride is longer than yours.
I know it's unrelated
because you have bad mobility.
I've heard how Tim throws a baseball, so that just makes me confident that I wouldn't lose this, even though they're unrelated.
I see where you're coming from on that.
Well, but you're right. What could I do? This person who played tackle football, who played rep hockey, I have no athletic ability at all. So, okay, fine.
Tim, that was like
that
was like 30 years ago.
I have no mobility. I have nothing.
Well, I asked you, how are we going to gauge this mobility? Now
I don't know that you can.
We had a gym. So this is what you're at now. I have great mobility. Well, how can we test that? I don't know if you can or not. Take my word for it.
I don't know that you can. I really don't know that there is an empirical metric that we can use.
Our gym teacher friend?
Absolutely there is.
Yeah, our gym teacher friend said that he would put you through his
like the
circuit.
cone test?
Yeah.
Hold on. Is it something like the cone drill, like that sort of thing?
Yeah, basically.
I'm not looking to do a cone drill. I'm not asking for a contest versus Tim in the cone drill. I'm not making these claims. Tim's even percentile on where guys like me and him are in terms of
50%
athleticism. I also think is pretty ridiculous. Like I wouldn't grade us nearly that high. I'm just confident enough that I would beat Tim.
Paul,
with the busted wheel.
You had a comment on this?
I just wanted to say that this is the cartwheel all over again. Tim shoots his mouth off, says he can do things, and then never gives us. Well,
except I'm not the one. I really didn't do any of that this time. I simply fought back against the, I thought, radically incorrect notion that I have poor or bad mobility. I'm not here to say I have great mobility. I'm not here to say that I even have good mobility.
No, you said you had average. You said you had average mobility, and the context,
which I don't think is an outrageous claim.
You said you said because you don't use a cane or have a mobile scooter that you have average mobility.
What I said was I don't have a walking aid.
He cited dudes like in their late 30s. For a guy, like I don't listen. I'm not saying there aren't. There's people that have dealt with some lifelong things or things have come up. People don't have walking aids in their 30s unless they're literally they're injured.
And those poor people have bad mobility.
But that's such a small...
That's less than 1% of people.
Which means that everybody at the age of 37 has somewhat average mobility.
No. Oh.
What? What are you talking about?
Like, if you can move around, like, you're doing fine.
That's like the attitude for someone at 80.
Yeah, I think it applies.
listen, I'm not against the lifestyle, but I think I think what you're saying is like self-owning yourself right now.
Yeah, I said I have average mobility. Ha ha ha! What an outrageous claim. Okay.
Yeah, because
No,
you're
I
not in a
said-
wheelchair,
when
you
you're-
have average mobility, according to you. There would have to be an
Again,
average,
you're-
right?
There is an average. I'm right in the middle.
You're not.
No,
So
you're not.
this is what our gym teacher friend told us. He can volunteer some grade school fitness and mobility tests and metrics, and Tim can compete against the two people he said that he had better mobility than he can be the arbiter of the competition. That seems fair, doesn't it?
I wouldn't want to put our two friends through that because of their injuries. I wouldn't want them to get.
They
re-hurt.
both told you they're not fucking injured.
Well, they are injured.
Oh, so according to you, they're injured, but according to them, they're not.
They
Which one-
are injured. One person, like the other guy said, like yes, his ACL is still temporarily or still like
Yeah,
partially torn.
his ACL is partially torn because he tore it 7 years ago and never went to get surgery. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. His kneecap hasn't fallen off. Like he still plays pickup basketball. He's fine.
Oh, but it might give her on him one day.
It might.
Yeah.
And then his mobility would be worse than Tim's when he physically cannot walk. But right now, he wants to put himself through this. Versus
I
Tim.
don't want to. I
So
don't
you- so-
want
so
someone to do that.
Well, they want to. Why? So you're making choices for people now?
I'm
Just
not
because you don't want to
making
lose
choices.
to these two?
I don't see the benefit. I don't. see
and
the need.
and the other guy who you said had an injury said he hurt his ankle 7 years ago.
Well, his knee and his ankle—they're both injured.
And he said that was
I
7
know
years
all the
ago.
mobility drills. They're essentially like the things you'd have to do at fantasy. It's a lot of like a basketball practice.
Yeah,
I mean,
running
like a lot of
suicides.
the like
Beep tests.
sidestepping on the baseline in the squat position. Like that's, I'm telling you, Tim, you'd be below average for your age, and I might probably also. So I'm throwing stones at my own house too.
Yeah, but you're not claiming to be average.
Yeah, I know. That's the difference. See, that is where it's like the insane thing. It's like I acknowledge my insanity.
Vote Jeff.
The fact that Tim, claims to be normal is why I feel like I win automatically in most people. Like there's a lot of anecdotal things that happen throughout the year, but at its core, I believe it's my self-awareness which has me never lifting the trophy.
I will say, despite the fact that this has been shit on Tim for the past 30 minutes, the crazy part of this was you leaving your baby behind to go see Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, to see Portnoy.
Out of all people.
He's like on a Howard Stern tier, except Howard Stern I don't like anymore.
But you still you watch old Howard Stern.
Yeah, Artie, Eric the Midge. Yeah, that's the stuff. That's the thing. I even canceled my Stern tier of Sirius because he's boring the shit out of me. And he told most people to go away. And the stuff I actually like is free on the internet. So, I mean, what's the point? I'm so serious, but not that tier of serious.
I would like someone on Sirius or wherever to give me so much money that I do tell people to fuck off in the chat, but like to actively alienate the audience, I would love to have that kind of money, Jeff. Be great.
Yeah, I don't think that's a whole other thing. His contract's
you do
up at
ban
the end
people
of
for life.
20. His contract's up at the end of 25. I truly believe he's going to hang it up. I think he would be embarrassed to get, it would still be a fortune what he would get paid. But, as he sees himself the king of all media, I think he would be embarrassed to be like the 6th highest paid audio guy, if that makes it in the current marketplace. It's the first time he's going to re-up or truly not being at the top. Since he's last re-upped, a lot of, the podcasts, be it Rogan, like he's just not, he doesn't have the impact that he used to have. And I don't think they'd offer him what those guys at the very top make in the podcast space. So that's a whole other thing. Don't mean to bore. I feel bad. We did that to Tim, but he brings it on himself.
And then he won't face the people in competition. Cowarding out. Doesn't
And
want
then
to
he
do
truly
that.
will tell
to them.
everyone around them that they're wrong and he's right.
Yeah. And we have an empirical way to do this. You should do it, Tim.
I choose not to run.
Yeah, big shocker there. Let's recap. Last week, 3-0.
Oh, is this a football show? Sorry, I didn't realize this was a football show.
3-0 on Super Locks between us.
Fuck.
Tim, you improved to 4-7. Jeff, you are 6-4. I am a scorching 10-1, Jeff, on the Super Locks this year.
Incredible.
And I'm having my
that is
worst.
It must mean that you must be means that you lead the picks pool by a whole lot.
I'm in
It
dead.
doesn't matter.
I'm
rather-
having. It's funny because I'm having my worst picks pool season ever, but I'm up so much money from betting on football. It's great. Well, I will
It's
take
really
this
just
trade.
like, the Super Locks. You just want to win the Super Locks. At least that's how I look at it. That means I'm probably having a good financial year if my Super Locks are doing okay. The
Of
Super
course, 'cause
Locks.
I'm doing well
Tim,
in the
here's
overall,
thing.
so
Here's
that's
the
why
thing,
it's not
Tim.
valuable. That's why it's
Here's
not
the thing.
valuable.
No, to people
If
who
you
bet
were winning
real
it, you'd be
money,
so proud.
to people who bet real money, they actually don't care about that record.
Of course
The
not. 'cause I'm
Super
doing
Lock
well.
record.
I want
I
to.
get it.
I want to win them all. I'm just happy that
Okay, sorry,
I'm
not
winning the
cares-
one that's financially.
Jeff only
benefiting
wants
me.
to. Jeff only doesn't want to win the one that I'm winning because like who'd want to win that?
No, like the definitive gap between how much more important the Super Lock record is to picking every game against the number on a Tuesday is that's you couldn't even quantify the gap in terms of what I think it means to people who bet.
Worth noting, I won money on Tim's Super Lock last week as I hammered the Texans on Monday Night Football. Tim bet against the Texans and his Super Lock with people that we know on Dallas.
Yeah, I had a change
What?
of heart. I did. I had a change of heart midweek. I
That's
came
when I
around to thinking actually
hammered
that I
Houston.
think Dallas was the right side because the more I thought about it, I was like, really, Houston doesn't beat anybody by a margin like this. Like this is dumb. So yeah, I had a change of heart.
You lost 2 of the
I
4
wish I was
picks.
10-1 in Super Locks.
Yeah, there we go. Because on the best bet show, it's kind of the same thing. I'm like I'm 9-2 on the gold pick and just terrible everywhere else, which is kind of reminiscent of my overall picks record. Although you and I both were the only two, Jeff, who had winning weeks last week, both 8-6. I'm 70-89. You're 72-87. Tim went 7-7. He is 1 game above 500, meaning he is 1 game back of the coin, who went 5-9. So Tim, you are in second place, 1
All
game
right.
above 500, and you lost 2 of the 4 plays on your money line parlay.
Yeah.
Only Tim would finish the season potentially under 500, beat Pat and I, come last in the Super Locks, and still feel like he deserves credit.
Hey, he gets credit for winning. You got to beat the coin,
Yeah.
though.
Again,
The coin is a real threat. I'm not here to take away your credit, Tim, if you win the picks.
I know you're not. You're not. Only Jeff is here to take away my credit. Anything that I'm good at. Oh, you're holding flashlights really
What
well.
other credit
That's
did I take
meaningless.
away?
Oh, you picked football games really well. That's meaningless. Oh, you could do. Oh, you played sports at a decent level when you're younger. That's meaningless. Anything
No,
that
I didn't
I
say
do is
you
of
play.
no
No,
value.
I didn't.
No value.
You're talking about like
Look,
5 years ago.
I understand you're in a haze of glory right now because your Argonauts won the Grey Cup and you're very excited.
Oh my God, you talking about mobility. You can't even do a Trump dance. It's like
I wasn't
the old
trying
person-
to. I wasn't
You
trying
can't
to.
even do it.
I was trying to give like a shoulder shake, like a swim move almost.
If
You're trying to do
people,
what?
if you
Like
really,
do like a swim move.
I think you're now making an excuse.
No, I was trying to do like a shoulder shake.
I'm putting it up on the screen right now, so people can see this. This is
Okay, but like I even
just
said at the
terrific
time,
stuff.
shoulder shake.
But you were just chicken winging the whole time.
Like I feel like this is just like a peek into your mobility.
I
Well-
agree.
well,
It's good.
Someone pointed out that the biggest part of the juke is you can move your shoulders every which way you want. It's getting your lower body to go along with that.
Well, but
Is it
I'm
really how
somebody
you
whose
juke?
legs are strong. I'm someone whose legs are stronger than their arms, so I should be able to do that.
So you're like 100% of people in the world,
I'm just saying.
except for those
if you think
except for those without legs, I suppose. Then they wouldn't qualify.
I-
So I guess you're above average in that regard.
I am more agile and mobile than people give me credit for.
That doesn't make you average.
Yeah, maybe.
You might be right about that claim, but that doesn't back up your other claim.
I think
Exactly.
I'm right in the center of the curve.
No.
Can you find me the people who are less mobile than you? Like just on the
I mean, we
street?
can find.
No, find me the
We're-
guy in his mid-30s who's less mobile than you.
We're going to sit outside of a supermarket before the games start next Sunday. And we're going to report. We're going to take and we're going to sit there, me and you, we're going to grade everyone between the ages of 35 and 40 that we see, and we'll determine if they're more mobile or less mobile than you.
I have no idea how you could do that with any accuracy.
Well, then how can you say that you're average?
Because I am average.
Because you feel, so if this is more feelings over facts then.
I just don't feel like I have any. I have no
feel-
encumbrances. But I'm also not above average at anything. That makes me like perfectly average.
Paul,
I don't know.
Paul, you've been here when we've watched football on Sunday. Out of everyone you've seen sit on a couch for 2 hours and then get up, who is the only one that can't do it and starts to limp?
He struggles to get up to the stairs to go to the washroom. Like he's like really stiff, and that's just from sitting.
Oh, I don't struggle.
true.
I'm a little stiff, but sure, anybody is stiff if they're immobile. for
Listen,
long.
No.
I can't make fun of Tim for
Not
that.
somebody
That's
who
probably me
considers
also.
himself mobile.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we're not. You're not out here touting your mobility.
but
I'm not touting my mobility. You're the one
I
who
think
who
there
brought
are
it up.
there's no way you could beat half of the able-bodied 37-year-olds in a mobility contest.
Well,
If I was the one who designed the contest.
Even
I
even
still
so,
don't think
like
so.
unless it involves reading, I don't know what's going to happen.
Just like stretching and stuff like that. I can like rotate this ankle and rotate that ankle and like move that arm and move this arm.
So you have control of your extremities. That is your proof.
Yeah, like I'm able to walk without an aid.
Paul?
I think Cust is actually grading himself based on how mobile he is compared to Gladys at Gentle Aquafit.
That's what I said. I said like it's like you're comparing someone in the mid 70s to yourself, not 40 years younger, which you are.
I mean, mobility is mobility. I don't think the age really matters. You either have mobility or you don't. Like you either how old you are is sort of immaterial.
Would you agree that the older you get, the less mobile you get because of body deterioration?
While not always, yes, usually.
In like
Like
99,
Jack LaLanne wasn't struggling from mobility.
but he wasn't.
Looks like Dick Van Dyke is out there dancing up a storm at
Yeah,
99 or whatever.
Yeah,
he is.
would you say that Dick Van Dyke is as mobile at 99 as he probably was at 35?
I mean, you watch the way he moves around
Yes,
these days. There probably hasn't been a big drop off. By the
Really?
look of it.
Jesus fucking Christ.
He looks pretty spry.
That's what people say about people who can barely fucking move. Spry. No one describes someone at 35 as spry. Spry is like, I'm shocked you can move as well that you can at your age. Or that like you're with enough.
I made a mistake. Well, not a mistake, just in the with transparency. I shared that thing about my kid, and I left it. And Tim might campaign on that, and
There's no might about it.
And that's going to be annoying.
Just another year of family, drama.
But the problem with that is, and listen, all's fair in love and war, is you're going to campaign on it, and you're going to create videos. And then every time we have to talk about it or you promote it, it's just going to rehash the anger in my wife. And that's a sub issue. I'm more annoyed about that aspect of it. But hey, that's just life. And I have to own it.
Maybe, Geoff, you should bring your loved ones to events because this seems to be a pattern with you.
But what I will say is for making that disclosure and knowing how damning that probably is to me in the Custies, you have done... Like, I will still come out of this episode losing ground, but the amount of ground that I should have lost in this episode, I won't, because of what you have, like how you stand on this hill of middle-aged man mobility. And we're not, some would say we're younger than middle-aged.
I mean, Tim is younger than both of us. Tim is definitely younger than middle-aged.
I mean, like, if life expectancy is what? For
80.
a man, 72, 73?
It's 80.
Way higher. Not way, but gotta be higher.
I actually don't know what life expectancy for the average man is in Canada. I assumed it was in the 70s.
81.3 for men in Canada.
All right. So I'm like 3 years away then.
And that's a decline because of the
middle-aged.
opioid crisis, slower gains in cancer and cardiovascular disease, and other changes that affected the country.
Yeah.
COVID also knocked out a bunch of 70-year-olds.
Yeah. So 80 is the average lifespan. So 40 makes you middle-aged.
You're not
Or
40.
just under 40 but to me, if you're 37, if you're 43, you're middle aged in both cases.
Are you still playing pickleball?
He never did
No.
play pickleball. He never
Oh,
once
he just
played
said-
it.
I just said
He
it's
just
really
said
cool.
he just said that he would like to someday try pickleball.
I just think it looks really cool because it does.
Did you see the pickleball fight?
Oh yeah,
No.
fuck that.
No, I didn't.
That was gross.
It was, but you imagine that happening to Tim after he shows off his mobility, and then some guy fucking pops him. Mad that he lost to Tim.
People are very agile at pickleball. You watch them play. Like you've got to have some good mobility there.
Yeah, but that's what's also causing a lot of these old people who don't do anything for years, and then they want to give her on a shot and one quick sidestep, and there goes the Achilles or tendons or ligaments. It's the arthropedic industry, like surgery, has gone up because of the pickleball.
I like that you call it the pickleball. You're like Jera, not calling it the Netflix, which I'm just stunned about. If we put Tim on that broadcast, he would have called it the Netflix. Did you watch that fight, Geoff?
Yeah, I bet irresponsibly.
I
on
listen.
it.
I bet irresponsibly. I mean, Paul. I mean, I guess we all bet very responsibly. Paul bet even more. I just didn't stay up to watch it. I just woke up in the morning and saw a bunch of money in my
Okay,
account.
hold on.
You just treated it like Team USA at the President's Cup.
Yeah.
Actually,
I even went out of my way to not take as much money from one of our friends as possible.
I think I shared with Paul, like, I didn't do the exact math on what I actually had in the end because that would make me
Yeah, I think Jeff
throw
bet
up.
more than me.
Oh, really? Did you go? Did you go
I
over
went
5 figures?
I was disgusted with my behavior. I took a trick out of Cam Stewart's book on Friday afternoon. I did like an extensive grocery shop for the house because I was like scared shitless that like
You have no money left.
yeah, I have no money after the fight, and I was irresponsible. But at the same time, maybe I wasn't irresponsible because if you think a line should be like minus like 2,000
Yeah.
and it's minus 250, then that's maybe the time to act irresponsible. You could say
Do you
that's
believe
like
this is the most-
hindsight.
Do you
But
think this is the
still.
most irresponsible thing you've admitted to on this podcast?
I would argue, you know what? If my wife knew exactly the risk amount on that fight, she might be madder about it than the baby.
Now, I showed my wife all the betting slips. She was pumped for all the won money. She's like, "This was a lock, huh?" I was like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it."
Yeah, no, it's fun
And
after
it was.
the fact.
It
but then-
was a lock.
Then
as
you
it
put
turns
2 and
out.
2 together when she'd realize like how much did you have to risk of our life to do that, and that would probably make her more unhappy than the winnings, and she wouldn't think I'm smarter. Like, you know, she knows me, so she's like, you're not like that. Like, if you thought it was minus 2,000, like you're wrong because they're smart in how they set their numbers. So she would like that argument wouldn't work. Wherein like Pizzola's wife could say that to his wife and she would respect that opinion because he's like a smart guy.
Because he has glasses.
I don't think I could get away with that.
If you put on your glasses when you told her, she'd probably believe you.
My broken glasses, you think she'd be like, oh, that guy's smart now, his crooked glasses.
I mean, you need a bit thicker frames, I think, to really pull off the smart guy look. But I agree, you have to take your hat off too. No one believes anyone wearing a hat. They just assume you're bald.
Rob's often wearing a hat with his glasses.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, when he talks to his wife about the bets, he doesn't wear the hat.
Have we even done a game yet?
No.
No, we haven't.
Would you like to, or would you like to keep? You got anything else on your chest?
Well, since the picks don't matter, all that matters is the super log, according to Jeff. Maybe we should just forego all
No,
the games.
anyone who bets knows what I'm talking about. It's like, what do you, Pat? It's no
Let's just
different.
Let's just do a
When you're
Grey Cup
watching,
recap.
like I want to win in fantasy football, I want to beat my buddies. But in the given Sunday, when I've got like as much as the pool entry on a game, I don't really, and it goes against my fantasy interests. Guess what? I'm cheering for like that 3-hour bet.
I'm with you, and that's become a real chasm in our home fantasy league. That you have 2 or 3 people who are just betting like thousands of dollars every week, and the prize pool for our league is like $1,400. Like I don't care at this point.
Yeah, and the thing is, they like, yeah, exactly. That's it.
Of
That's it.
note, I'm winning our fantasy league this year, which is very nice. First time in 8
And I heard Tim's gonna go winless. How's that even possible?
Because my team's terrible.
He continues to start the 3rd string running back for the Packers every single week, and he keeps telling me, "Oh no, he's really good." Yet he can't remember his name.
And you're allowed to like, you can I guess this is a keeper league. Like you can legitimately start guys who aren't playing.
You're not
Not
supposed,
intentionally.
not intentionally, but we enforce to get around this rule in the keeper league because people would tank for ballots. You owe more money if you come in last in the regular season now. Like it's a penalty if you come in last or second last or third last. You owe extra money to the prize pool, which Tim can't do because he's the cheapest man alive. So he's really torn on this. Do you tank?
Yeah, but
for
I
next
don't know.
year?
Yeah, that goes both ways because Tim also doesn't look at prices at the grocery store. Yet he's, sometimes he can be frugal, but he can also be very like the complete opposite, to be honest.
And maybe he ends up with all the good picks next year and he wins the league, and then it's worth it. That's the way that I'd be looking at it.
I guess. Has anyone ever gone winless? I've never heard of that before.
Oh yeah, that has in our league.
I don't think that they have. I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah, I think it's happened.
So
a
like the
couple of
floor
times,
is
actually.
that
I mean,
low that you can like. I guess.
See,
I guess in keeper it's
Tim is just
maybe.
spitballing this. I don't know if anyone's actually gone winless in our league before. He's just saying that they have so he doesn't feel bad about himself, but I don't know if that's actually true. I'll get back to you. I'll do that research for next week, Geoff. How about that?
Well, I'm sure you guys as a league will do that research as
Well,
Tim
you
chases
just
it
make
down.
you can just make one click on the Yahoo League and look at the years past.
I'm trying to find it. I mean, it's not one click. It's 15 years worth of stuff we have.
Well,
to go
yeah,
through.
one click per year. Yeah.
It's actually 2 clicks because it always defaults to playoffs. Then you have to click on standing. So it's 2 clicks per year. What didn't happen last year, now that I'm scrolling through it, or the year before that. 1 in 13, though, was 2 years ago. Introducing to you the TGL presented by SoFi Golf's newest league live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. This is a simulator plus real chipping, real grass, and real green league featuring some of the PGA Tour's biggest players like Tiger and Rory and Xander. Only 2-hour matches inside of a stadium and has other sporting elements like timeouts, refs, and overtime. You tee off from real grass into a screen. You might end up in the rough, or sand, real sand, and have to play it back into the screen out of there. After that, they use the technology to drop it by a real greenside area plus a real putting surface, getting everyone involved in the contest. This isn't your average Sunday pickup game. To learn more, visit tglgolf.com and tune into the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up. It's golf. We're at the time of year where people are going to ask you what you want for a gift, and you're going to say, I don't want anything, or I don't know. Here's an answer. Doer. My Doer pants I got last week are the most comfortable pieces of clothing that I own. I got a pair of denim stretch jeans and these joggers. These joggers are amazing. You get them in a whole bunch of colors, but they don't look like joggers. So when you go out into public, I mean, we would wear crappy jogging pants out in public because they're so comfortable all the time, but then people see you're like, who is this absolute goober walking around in his joggers wearing his pajamas? No. The Doer joggers look so good. They are lightweight, they are stylish, they are relaxed, and beyond anything, they again are the most comfortable things I own. I wore them like 3 days in a row, which is a lot for a pair of pants. I absolutely love my Doers, and I know you're gonna love them too. Check out Doer's flagship stores in LA or Denver, or shop online at shopdoer.com/PME. Right now, here's the thing. My listeners, you good people, listening to the Pat Mayo Experience, get 20% off your first purchase when you use my exclusive URL, shopdoer.com/PME. This is an awesome deal. Don't wait. Go get 20% off right now at shopdoer.com/PME. Thursday night football, Steelers at Browns. The Browns are a home dog. It's the week of home dogs. 3.5 points. The Browns are dogs at home. And Tim, while we took a little break in between that first segment in this game, I went through every year of our fantasy league. No one has ever gone winless. Ever.
I thought it happened like a couple of times, but fair enough. You say it didn't, it didn't.
I mean, I just went through it.
No, okay, fine.
In
Okay.
only 2 instances did teams have 1 win throughout the course of the year. So you're
I really
you're on
couldn't
pace.
care
to-
less.
No, you don't care. You just want to come in last, pay the extra money?
No, I mean I'm going to come last regardless because my team is talentless.
Who's
Nothing I can do.
Do you think that they're as talentless as potentially the Browns are in this game, or do you like the Browns?
I like the Browns in this game. And I'll tell you why. It's because I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore beat the heck out of each other last week. And in a short week, I want nothing to do with either of those teams. I will take the Browns and those points coming off of just a physical, violent battle. 3.5 points is is a fair number. And the Browns have been really bad, but and you can't be impressed with the way they played coming off a bye. That's for sure last week. But this is just a spot game pick of the Browns for me. This is not an endorsement of them.
The coin is going with Pittsburgh, Jeff. I kind of agree with Tim here, but I did see that there's snow in the forecast for this game. I don't know how much it's going to be, so it's going to be pretty cold. And if all things being equal, like even in the dome last week, the Browns kicker was missing kicks. Like if you want to cover the 3.5, you can't go full Tucker or full Hopkins, I guess, for the Browns. And what is Jameis going to do against this defense? Like if Chubb was running at 100% and looks spry, but he doesn't. So I do worry that the Browns just can't score enough here.
I agree it could be close. And I so dumb got on the Browns last week with real money. With like 2.5 points of CLV at irrelevant numbers to the CLV. But I was one of those people who were like all in on them.
John Lovitz did it to you too, huh?
Yeah, Lovitz is killing everyone.
So so I'm like just scarred. I'm scarred from having to watch that last week and can't envision a way where Winston won't do something stupid. And the spread is still small enough that it feels like even if it's a game that the Browns all game feel like they're covering or it's close or it's safe, still feels like something that'll get blown up. And if you watch the Browns last week, you have any confidence that they would complete be able to get you an easy backdoor?
No.
Not a chance. Not a chance. So I have to just I know it could be a wrong side, and on the Thursday nights you got to be really careful because it reeks of some of the games we've seen in the last month on Thursday, Pat, where one of the teams is considerably better than the other. And spread just feels a little wonky. So I'd probably bet it lightly, but for the purpose of picking it, it's easy Steelers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Steelers too. I've been abstaining outside of that one time of betting the Thursday night game when it cost me a bunch of money. I've just been terrible on Thursday night, so I assume the Cleveland wins and covers in this spot. That would throw a real wrench into the AFC playoffs too, which would be kind of nice. Tim, did you know that Cleveland is now dead last in DVOA amongst all teams?
I didn't know that, but I can't say I'm completely shocked either. I mean, they've been rolling over and dying in a lot of games.
Yeah, that once vaunted defense is now, what are they, 24th in football, Geoff.
But look, the total is 36.5. To ask for a team to win, I just don't know how often you can be on the right side of a game laying more than 3 points in a total of a 36.5. I just think that's a bad practice.
I mean,
I could give you a lot of numbers.
2010 feels like a real 16-10 or something stupid.
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
it can happen. I feel like when you've got to spread a total that low, laying more than a field goal over time is just not going to be a success.
You're right, but I could also see us being at halftime and the live line is like 29.
Yeah, and it's 17-0 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, fair. It could be very well like 17-10. The Steelers cover and win. Yeah, totally there.
If Cleveland's running game was a little bit better and can actually move the sticks, I would have a bit more confidence in them. And I do feel, although it's not an explosive running game, Pittsburgh just kind of grinds you out through the running game.
Steelers are going to eat Winston, and he turns the ball over.
Jameis Winston, you think
and
so?
And there's no way that the Steelers won't get the ball from him. Tomlin voodoo or not, which was ridiculous. Pat, you said with Jake that if they played that game on Sunday 10 times, the Ravens would probably win 7. I'd argue they'd win closer to 9.
So 8,
based on everything that happened in totality.
Closer to 9, they would win 8 instead of 7. Would be your contention?
7 seems low for whatever it's worth. If that game was replayed by a simulator 10 more times, but you can't model Tomlin voodoo.
All right, so Pittsburgh for everyone besides Tim, taking Cleveland plus 3.5. Let's go to Monday Night Football. Baltimore at Chargers or Los Chargers.
Why do you keep doing this?
because it gives you a chance to talk about the Chargers. I thought that I was doing you a favor here.
I don't know. Sometimes I like to get my beak wet a little bit, but let's give her.
We're an hour into the show.
I guess. Thanksgiving week. Well, not actually Thanksgiving week. It is like the Monday of Thanksgiving. So they're sending a message that, Thanksgiving week and family, things can get messy. So get ready for a messy week of family. Monday night. There's no result in this game that can bring me down. I'm sorry, friends.
64
someone
to
would
3?
have to get hurt. Someone would have to get hurt, or they'd have to blow a 21-point lead, and they showed they're still capable of that. But you want to know that I made a pact with the boys at Forward Progress that after the Cardinals game, where I forbid to go there on Monday night and watch the game with Rob, I said if they're 7-3 when they get to this game, I will go. So there's a plug for Forward Progress. Next Monday night, I'm going to be streaming the whole game in person with Pizzola. That being said, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get out of me. Now, my wife would tell me everything I'm about to tell you is a lie, but I'm going to watch that game like calm as fuck. House money. House money.
I don't believe you.
House money.
This is exactly
you.
exactly what Tim said when he was out on the Jets, and Jared finally got to experience firsthand watching the games with us on Sunday what watching the Jets with Tim is like when it's going bad.
No, well, I'm going to be like, obviously after every play, I'm going to want guys to get up. That's never going to change. And when the other team is holding the football, I'm going to want the first Charger to touch him to bring him down. So, things like that, will be constant verbiage through the night. But in terms of my, emotion, nah. I mean, they've got this one to burn now. If they lose this game, they lose this game. They lose to the Ravens. Everything is going good. I still don't think what some people are telling me is possible. But I'm enjoying everything that is happening. And just keep chucking. We went cold there in the second half. Did that not remind you of a golfer, Pat?
No, that reminds me of a golfer who is winning by 4 strokes that I have bet on the 15th hole. And it's like, oh my God, what's happening? He just hit it out of bounds.
He starts the Sunday tied. You get to the 12th hole and he's up by 4. And then you get to 15 and it's tied again. And you're like, holy shit. But then on 18, he sticks it to a foot.
It was basically like watching
30 seconds. They went 30 seconds in 4 plays.
It was basically the Denny McCarthy Akshay from Valero earlier this year when he was up by 8 going into the back, and then I had to go to a fucking playoff, and then Akshay stuck it and won still and won us our bets, but it was terrifying. And he didn't. It's not even that he played that badly; it's that the other guy just started playing really, really well in conjunction with average play to below average play. It's not like Herbert was horrible during the quote unquote bad stretch. Just Burrow went crazy.
Yeah, they hit all those 4th downs. They're a good team. They can move the ball.
They are not a good team.
Well, what's happening to them?
That's why they have 4 wins.
They remind me of previous Charger teams where they'll score points, they'll still lose, close games. But all you got to know, everyone knows this. I don't even have to say it, but I'm going to say it. They don't win that game with Brandon Staley. They just don't win it. They do not win it. In my core, I absolutely believe that to be true. We would have folded like a cheap fucking suit. But we held the line.
So you're taking the Ravens?
Do you know if that... Well, no, I'm not taking the Ravens. And I did want them to win by a point last second because that would have make me like them more. The Chargers, that is. I don't like that the Ravens are coming off a loss.
Oh, you're calling your shots at how you want games to go now for your enjoyment.
Yeah, when I'm watching the team, buddy. When I am watching the team who the Chargers play in the next week, my mind works one way. I am just thinking about next week's game. And everything I see relates to next week. Like when I see Queen leave the game with a hamstring injury, I'm like, damn, hamstrings are bad. That's a playoff team. Maybe they need to nurse that. But that fucker Kyle Hamilton, he's a beast. That guy does not take plays off. He's playing with 3 injuries. He is incredible. He is like Justin Fields went down because he was afraid of Kyle Hamilton. Maybe he's just an idiot. I'm not really sure in that instance from Sunday. But it should be a really fun game. And I'm probably gonna break. I'm probably lying to you, but it's a house money for me. I'm in a great spot. Through 10 games, we're at best case scenario.
Tim, I feel like smoke is just being blown up the Chargers' ass right now, and coming off a loss that Baltimore kills them. That's just how I feel.
I do not see it that way at all. I see Baltimore getting ping-ponged here in 2 games, going from 7-2 to 7-4. And if the Chargers win this is a huge. It doesn't lock them into the 5 seed, but it gives them a huge leg up into being the 5 seed. I think, which is the seed you want, because it means you can probably avoid Kansas City in the second. You have a good chance to avoid Kansas City in the second round, and you get to play the Texans rather than the Steelers or Bills. So it's like it's a huge game. I was very concerned that Baltimore could not run the ball effectively against the Steelers. When I thought with Derrick Henry they should have been able to do that, and that the Steelers didn't score a touchdown in the game and Baltimore didn't win. Those 2 things were like glaring big problems to me that were concerning. And the Chargers are like a better version of the Steelers in a lot of ways. They run the ball, they play good defense, they're fantastically coached, but they just have a superior quarterback than what Pittsburgh has. So if Pittsburgh can give Baltimore these types of trouble, then the Chargers should give Baltimore similar troubles. And I like the Chargers here. In fact, I have the Chargers teased all the way up to 9. They're the last part, although for this show they're the first part of a teaser.
6
Why not take it to 10?
Why would he want?
No, that's okay.
You're giving up extra money if you make it a 7-point teaser.
Well, you see, I don't know what his other games are.
He's basically saying he thinks that the Chargers win this game. So why does he need the extra point on
I
the
guess,
teaser?
yeah, fair enough. You're right. That's why would he do that?
I just see the reason that Baltimore lost that game. You had the 2 missed field goals from Tucker, which is, it's not that it's uncharacteristic. It's still kind of shocking to see it happen in real time. And then just 3 turnovers out of nowhere that you just don't expect the Ravens to ever make, because they don't. So it was bad voodoo the moment that Derrick Henry fumbled at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
It's not that the Chargers can't do the same thing that the Steelers just did. I think it's unlikely to happen to Baltimore 2 weeks in a row.
That interception up the sidelines?
Yeah.
Fumble the first play of the game. Like, the voodoo is everywhere with those guys. It is truly incredible. Everything Pat said, I wouldn't actually. I agree with. I couldn't even put up a fight on. I don't believe the blowout though is in play.
I think it is.
I don't. I think if you teased up the Chargers, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. I haven't seen any signs of this team with Justin Herbert at capacity that they would get blown out.
You know what I like in this game? I like the over in this game.
Yes. Totally. Ooh,
we just saw how you get to the Chargers defense, and even in the game previous, I know it was a bit in garbage time, but even when Levis was able to throw over the top, he's just not any good. Burrow happens to be really good. I could see some long touchdowns from like Bateman or Zay Flowers in this game.
And how good are the Chargers at scoring touchdowns from
wherever,
like distance?
Yeah,
they're one of the best teams in the league at touchdowns of over 30 yards. It's actually incredible when you think about it, based on what you probably thought their baseline for something like that would have been. I'll spend a moment here to do one thing on Chargers radio.
Do you like how much Herbert's running?
Oh, that is literally nothing. Like, I feel that shit in my loins. And it was he was trying to make a nice tough play on the fumble. That sucks. That really sucked, and the timing of it killed. But as Harbaugh said, like, you do that again and again and again. Like, we'll live and die by that. We'll live and die. And even when he gets into a cold streak chucking, we're going to keep chucking. We are going to keep chucking. We are going to what's the term? De-escalation by escalation. That's how we will deal with our problems when it comes to chucking. That being said, Chargers radio, what people need to realize is, I mean, I don't believe what people think will probably happen this year. I get nervous when people are automatically saying, I can't wait to bet the Chargers like wild card weekend. Like I'm already like people are already making that decision. Fuck that. Get out of my face with that. This is the worst team that they will have. Next year's team will be better. This is a team that was built out of $100 million in cap hell with scrap heap free agency patchwork. Next year, they have like 70 million in cap space, and Jim and Joe Ortiz will be able to build the team fully in their vision. So this roster is only getting better, friends. That's what I'm excited about. League minutia for my friend Tim. Super cool. Sunday and Monday night at SoFi.
I was going to mention that we had we had Monday night this week in LA, or Sunday night this week in LA, and then next week, the week we're in, Sunday back to back. I feel like that's happened at MetLife a couple of times, at least it happened once. But it's really cool to have two primetime games back to back in SoFi. And your crowd was a real crowd against Cincinnati.
Did you hear that?
And it's not like Baltimore has millions of fans either. If Cincinnati can't get a crowd, Baltimore can't get a crowd. I expect it to be very similar.
And I'll tell you why.
These are small cities in the AFC that don't travel.
They are, but you forget the one thing that Baltimore has that Cincinnati doesn't, Tim.
They used to be the Browns?
No, they have a player that people just genuinely like without liking football.
Yeah, okay.
I
wanted to circle back. Like, we're done with Chargers radio, but our friend who's a Dolphins fan loves Lamar. Would you say that Lamar is the single most popular player in the league? Like, people recognize that Mahomes is great. It's not like people are like standing Patrick Mahomes. People love Lamar who love him.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, in my ecosystem here in Ontario, it's probably Josh Allen.
Sure, but I think that's local.
I mean, like, I know, but
or Aaron Rodgers.
Like the bubble.
Aaron Rodgers.
I mean,
does anyone like Aaron Rodgers?
I'm joking.
Besides you.
I'm joking.
Yeah, no, Lamar is truly incredible. Although that being said, who did I see talking about this?
Was it the Tua being better than Herbert?
No. Sure. Listen, I mean, we'll get there when we talk about the Dolphins. I actually only have nice things to say.
They're both 0-1 in the playoffs.
Those people still I wouldn't even put the 6 most popular football players, dead or alive. I don't think that Lamar is in there. Like, it's like Mahomes, Brady, Manning, Gronk, Kelsey in no particular order. I'm probably forgetting someone. Peyton Manning could probably be in there.
Kelsey's probably number 1 of all those people, weirdly enough. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Why,
by a certain. Yeah.
It's not even by a certain. If you're talking about popularity, like amount of people that like that person, it's currently Travis Kelce.
But you're right. You're just narrowing it down to football fans, and Lamar and Josh Allen at this moment are probably my favorite things to watch that aren't the Chargers. And in some ways that's disrespectful to Mahomes, but it's probably like how some guys talked about Jordan, like in the mid-early 90s. Like, maybe we're just in this like fatigue, and anyone who isn't Mahomes who's next is like, I'm gonna glad hand, much like I do with golfers. Like, I'm just trying to.
No, see, I think it's just.
I'm so much more excited to watch Tommy DeVito this week. I can't speak for anybody else.
Tommy Cutlets. More on him in a second. Let's talk about Mahomes. I'm the only one taking Baltimore in that game, by the way. Kansas City's on the road in Carolina, coming off bye week. Carolina is an 11-point dog at home. Adam Thielen back. Jonathan Brooks making his NFL debut as anticipated, at least for the Panthers. Bryce Young back under center. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this game because I don't know how the Panthers score on the Chiefs in this game, because outside of the first drives of game, Bryce Young can't really do anything, and it's tough to run all over the Chiefs, which is how Carolina was able to absolutely gash the Giants in that Munich game, which they should have lost anyway and still didn't. But Mahomes, to speak about Mahomes, like the Super Bowl is one thing, but it's even, you say, like you mentioned Michael Jordan. I think that's not correct, because Michael Jordan was still the most exciting guy to watch at that time. The problem with Mahomes, as he's become progressively less exciting as the years have gone along, whereas everyone else has remained as exciting. Like, there's nothing frantic about Mahomes anymore. It's just they play a plodding style, where it's just going to be conservative. He's going to complete a lot of short passes. It's a lot like remember when Brady got really exciting when he got all those weapons, but Brady for the first 6 years was just like throwing 4-yard passes to Deion Branch and Troy Brown. Like he wasn't exciting whatsoever. That's kind of what Mahomes is becoming, knowing that he still has it in his back pocket if he needs it. He just never brings it out anymore.
To that point, Brady was like the best. Brady and Belichick, like Patriots were in so many 3rd and 4s, and they converted them at a rate that was just insane. And it feels like Mahomes does that now. It's just, you kind of feel helpless in a lot of those situations. Like even when Mahomes is 3rd and 13, in some moments you do feel helpless. Hard to disagree with that in some respects, but I'm sure, if Xavier Worthy becomes a superstar or something, like really they've also still been like haven't nailed that guy yet to open it up since they've lost Tyreek Hill. They've tried, and it's still in there, but they just got to get the guy. And Worthy might be the guy, and
He's
they
not,
do try to throw those bombs.
but he's not the guy. I think that's it's no different than when people are currently drafting quarterbacks to be like, well, he's the next Josh Allen. Look at his size, look at his speed, look at his arm strength. There is an intangible that Josh Allen has that these other guys don't. That's what makes him an MVP candidate on an annual basis. It's the same thing with Tyreek Hill. Yeah, he's getting older and he's not as good as he once was, but Tyreek Hill not only had the hands and the speed and the route running, he just had that X factor that made him different than the 99 other super fast dudes that are in the NFL that fucking suck.
Not faster than Turpin.
Not this year. I saw the Turpin. I think you probably sent it to me that he had the fastest in-game play. I think before that it was actually Brian Thomas had the fastest.
Yeah. Turpin's the fastest player in football. It has been for a couple of years. All this Tyreek's the fastest stuff is nonsense. But anyway.
But Turpin didn't have the fastest last year.
I like the Chiefs here. I like teasing the Chiefs down. I don't know what else to say. I just feel like this is too few points. I guess the Panthers are getting some respect for coming off bye. Like this probably should be 14. This is the Chiefs versus the Panthers. This is a short number, even though it is in Charlotte. I'm going to take the Chiefs.
I see. I agree with Tim, Geoff. I don't think it's enough points, like at all. I think that the Panthers are getting credit for winning 2 in a row in 2 games that they should have lost, then going on bye week, and we forgot about how poorly that they played in those games, yet still won because the bye week just kind of they're like, oh yeah, they're 2-0 in their last 2 games. Great, now we got to keep picking on Carolina here.
Yeah, I mean, what Tim said, I was just like giving them a little respect for the bye. So what do you trust them? That means like they've I don't know.
Yeah, they figured it out.
4 plays that'll work for them. I have to take Kansas City, although I'm not touching this one. I don't see myself getting anywhere close to it. I like to fade a team, specifically ATS, who was just on an extended winning streak and it just ended. But unfortunately they're playing Carolina. And I don't even know how to quantify it. So it's like Chiefs and ignore.
Yeah, they have some tough games coming up. So this is probably the one where they really want to establish something here. And it doesn't
what's built in here? The fact that the Chiefs are historically not covering these numbers and the Panthers are off a bye. That is your case. Like that is the case you're just blind making, in my opinion, to bet Carolina. Spagnuolo and that defense, they suffocate everyone. Josh Allen's a goddamn hero, and he made some hero plays. That's not happening. It's not happening. Every other quarterbacks, even the good ones, this Chiefs D suffocates. They're going to pretzel the little guy.
By the way, when Tim, I think it was you on this show last week, said that it would take an awful lot for Lamar not to win MVP. It took 1 game for him not to be favored. That's how fickle that market is right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're right next to each other, but you're definitely right that Lamar is now plus 200 rather than minus 125.
Yeah, and if Lamar throws 4 touchdowns and they beat the Chargers and the Bills, even on bye, they'll probably be even again. So.
I mean, I want to note, well, I was very wrong about that. What I was very right about is how close Geoff has gotten. Goff is now just plus 600 and is right back in the hunt, even though he's a week removed from a 5-interception game.
Yeah, well, he's not going to. The problem is he doesn't get to play Jacksonville every week where they just gift him 500 yards passing.
But he has several primetime games and solo games.
He's not getting it. He's not getting it.
I'm just saying, if he if let's just say he plays on Thanksgiving and against the 49ers
Listen.
on a Monday night, he's got some big opportunities where if he plays great in those games and this Lions team goes 16-1, he's going to win it and it's going to be a unanimous MVP.
So
He's
you know
not,
what
and
this
he's
go-
not,
And it
and
shouldn't be.
he's not, and here's why. It all depends on the fortunes of one man. Yes, Lamar can win it because he's probably playing the best of any player in the league right now, so he's always going to have that default. But he won it last year; he's already won too. As long as the Bills only lose one more game and the Bills go 14-3, Josh Allen's gonna win.
We'll see.
Even if-
and I bet
the
it when
numbers, they're
Tim
gonna give it to him.
Tim called him out 2 or 3 weeks ago. I bet it. So that's the one that I'm holding.
Why?
I will say what I noticed about this Goff for MVP thing. It is so eerily similar to that 2 years ago when everyone was willing the Dan Campbell Coach of the Year, because a lot of like the sharp, so many dudes bet Goff to win MVP in the offseason. So there are a lot of guys with like nice big tickets in the like sharp gambling space. It's like the same guys who had that Dan Campbell ticket a couple years ago are willing this thing. And well, like there's a case on numbies, there's no eyeball case for it. So miss me with that shit of Jared Goff being the MVP of the National Football League.
It's Allen's to lose as long as Buffalo doesn't have the bottom fall out on them. They end up with like 5 losses. It's the easiest year to give it to him in, and he has been the best player who hasn't won it over the past 5 years. It makes a lot of logical sense, especially from the eyeball test, which you're talking about, which I think that we saw last year when Hamlin didn't win and Flacco won, that's what these voters do.
So a couple weeks ago, Herbie was 100, and now he's 22. And where do you think he is if he slices air and wins versus Lamar on Monday night?
He's 22 right now. He'll probably go to like 14, but unless the Chargers win out, I don't think he has a chance.
No, I don't think
Not
he's
to win
gonna,
out.
I mean,
They just have to beat the Chiefs in the division.
do they do votes? Like, do they do placing votes for MVP?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so my goal is for Herbert to find his way into like a placing vote.
Yeah,
But I do not believe he can win the award.
I can see him coming like 3rd in the MVP race.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to go 12-5 or something. They'd have to get like really hot, and they'd have to run through this hard part of the schedule. And I don't know, they're probably going to drop Monday, maybe. But yeah, just seeing that number dip. But while we're on the Chiefs, and Tim talked about whatever he cursed previous, do you want to say anything to our friend Andrew Hustler?
Oh my God. What did
You realize
he texted me about asking me if he was now cursed.
So he was worried after last week's show when you talked about how jealous you were of his current situation. That yeah, he's worried and then the weekend happened and you fucked him up pretty good, Tim.
I take no responsibility, but I mean, I certainly feel bad that the Chiefs' winning streak ended. The Bombers lost in the Grey Cup, and the Winnipeg Jets lost 2 games all in the same weekend. That's
They doubled their
very
loss. They
unfortunate.
doubled their loss total for the year.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. And but no, there's no curse. We all love Huss.
You proclaimed yourself jealous of him.
I remain jealous of him.
Oh no.
Who wouldn't be? What sports fan wouldn't be jealous of a Chiefs / Blue Bombers / Winnipeg Jets fan right now? There are very few sports fans on planet Earth who have it better than that person who cheers for those teams does.
Well, we know you're a closeted Chiefs fan because they can take away Patriots glory.
That's
Mahomes can
more or
take
less-
away
Yeah,
Andy Reid can take away Bill's glory. Mahomes
Yes.
can take away Tom's glory. They can diminish in the same way. It feels like the Patriots quickly diminished. Brady quickly diminished, like the Joe Montana greatest quarterback of all time thing. Like it didn't live as long as it should in the ethos of the sport because he got. You want Mahomes to make the Brady ethos even
course.
shorter than the Montana ethos was.
of course. Nothing would make me happier than Mahomes finishing his career in such a way that people are like, "Oh yeah, remember we thought Tom Brady was the greatest ever?"
You're sick, but I see where your head is at. I can't argue with you.
it's like the amount of joy that would bring me to be able to play that card. It's like, yeah, Tom was a good quarterback, but he was no Patrick Mahomes. Like, you've no idea. You've no idea how happy that would make me. It would bring me such joy.
I'm taking the Chiefs.
Minnesota at Chicago. Tim's Super Bowl pick, not doing so great right now since that Hail Mary killed them. But they are 3-point dogs at home to the Vikings. I actually like the Bears in this game. I don't know if they outright win it, but I see push at worst for them. Now, when they lose 28-0, I'm going to feel like an idiot. But I think they have the right kind of defense to make Darnold look really bad.
He looks bad every week.
It's true.
He didn't look great against the Titans. They put up 23 points against a terrible Titans team, and that game, was anyway. I'm going to keep picking against the Vikings till I see a spread that I think is right. Like, this should be like Vikings by 1 maybe, or 1.5, not 3. I got to take the Bears.
Yeah, you're Mr. Minnesota, Geoff. You love the Vikings. They are 8-2. Are we discrediting them too early? Because I think that if this game happened 2 weeks ago, I'd be all over Minnesota because of the defense and how they're attacking Caleb. I liked what I saw with the new OC being like, hey, you know what? All these other teams throw the ball pretty quickly. Why don't we try that? It really worked for them.
Yeah, we'll see. And, like Caleb Williams versus Brian Flores, that seems like a lot of overs in the sense of like huge plays or pick sixes or fumbles in short fields. Like, I feel like there could be a huge contrast of that. I am the Vikings guy, and you're both on the Bears, and there's no way the current state of the Bears that it should be a sweep of the board. What do you believe? I know how Pat's can answer this, so let me just ask Tim for a moment. Who do you think? How would you say the Packers and the Vikings are equal, or one team is better than the other team, or how would you rank them?
Wow, I think the Packers are a little better. And I don't think either team is great. And I don't think either team is nearly as good as their records show. I think both teams are profoundly flawed.
Last week, in this exact same, was the Packer game was in Chicago or Green Bay last week?
No, it was in Chicago. It's the exact same scenario.
So it's the exact same game, and you could make the case that the Packers and the Vikings are equal, and I have to lay 3 here, where last week I had to lay 5.5 if I wanted the Packers.
Yeah. Which the Bears covered, by the way. Don't forget that.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean that there's still like.
I know what you're saying. I get your point you're making. That there ought to be value here on the Vikings vis-a-vis the Packers.
And maybe I'm just the Vikings guy, so I've just like made up a case to bet them, which is possible. But I'm on the Vikings here to beat this Brian Flores, to confuse the kid.
Yeah, I mean, I like the under in the spot. I worry about Minnesota's ability to score points. And it doesn't seem like that should be a thing when you have some of the playmakers that they have. But Darnold just doesn't look good. And he looked better.
Good rain in this game, too. And I don't like the Vikings going outdoors in the cold rain.
Yeah, and I like the Bears' defense. And it's not a defense it's weirdly one thing that I like about their defense against Darnold is that they don't actually generate a ton of pressure. They give Darnold a little bit of time to hang himself. And then they just drop everyone back. So I could see a lot of turnovers for the Bears here to keep them in it. Like, just if they could have 3 interceptions and lose to the Vikings, I completely understand that. But just the fact that Williams wasn't running around like a deer on ice trying to get away from defenders last week, and maybe the pressure will bring that back out of him again. But getting the ball out of his hands quickly, one read or take off, I think will benefit them in this spot. Next game. Oh, Tennessee and Houston. That's fun. Geoff, the Houston Texans are 8.5-point favorites against the Titans. But here's a number that I thought was very interesting. Not that I believe that they're going to win the Super Bowl, but the Texans are now 30-1 to win the Super Bowl. They could most definitely have a Kurt Warner Arizona Cardinals type run here, just in a division that they're clearly going to win and just kind of coast. And by the time we realize it in January, like, they could be a bit of a different team, and we haven't taken notice yet.
Potentially. I mean, they've been battling a lot of injuries everywhere. And you're not wrong. Like, just put me specifically, and I'm not the only one, like what we were thinking about them
preseason
6 weeks ago. And then to get that team into the playoffs and hope that team that you thought they were is there.
Yeah, like
I don't hate that.
Like the way that
they
I would
play the Chargers.
Yeah, and they could beat the Chargers. They could lose to the Chargers,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely. But just even to think about them from a DVOA context, like it's their offense that sucks, Tim. They are third on special teams, second in defense, 24th in offense. They're actually very similar to this Vikings team in a weird way, except maybe I shouldn't trust Stroud more than I trust Darnold, but I do think that getting everyone healthy, and if they could just figure out the proper play calls some of the time and not get themselves into these third and longs, they are a team that I could see making noise. They're a team that I could see losing by 24 in the first round or just grinding people out all the way through.
I don't know. I don't trust them. I wouldn't trust them past one round of the playoffs. I think that team, there's something that hasn't quite gelled right, and Stroud has regressed from last year, and that's just a fact. I don't know. I think it's too many points. I will take the divisional opponent here with the points. Houston coming off a short week. Again, they did beat a team by a significant margin last night, but like Dallas had a hand to play in that. Another beautiful fake punt that went nowhere. Joe Mixon getting 3 touchdowns. Dallas was in that game for most of it. Like the score was 34-10, but it was like 17-10, like going well into the second half. So like, it's not like the Texans blew them out until it was late when they took control. I think the Titans play them close. I don't know that they would win, but I will take the Titans here. Sorry.
I really want to take the Titans because it feels like they're 1-9 against the spread, Geoff. You know that always just ends up rectifying itself unless they're the one outlier team all year. And maybe they are because per the metrics, like their defense is pretty good. Like they have a top third of the league defense per the numbers. Just they have Will Levis or they have Mason Rudolph, and their special teams is the worst in the league. Like they have all this weird stuff going against them that even if their defense holds up a little bit, they just can't do anything to help their defense. Like when they're generating short fields for the other team, be it on the punt or through turnovers. And I take a look at the teams that has Houston played Jacksonville this year? I can't remember. Does anyone remember?
I'm sure they have.
You say that, but
there's
a bunch of teams though that haven't played one team in their division.
Like the Jets and the Dolphins haven't played, so you're not wrong. Like you see a couple of them stacked late.
Yeah, like Tampa Bay hasn't played Carolina yet.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why that Tampa over.
And the Titans secondary, I mean, it is statistically very good. And as I'm seeing on Twitter right now, as our boy Rob Pizzola attacks his rival, calls out his rival, he's letting us know that the Titans have only allowed 7 completions of 20-plus air yards all season. That's actually second most in the league, and a 20% completion percentage on deep targets. They lead the league in that.
That's great.
So
and yet they're 1-9 against the spread.
Yeah, you'd think a team like that can cover a number like this. I actually think that Cam is doing low pro what he was doing with Carolina with the Titans all year, and it hasn't gotten the hype, and it's like breaking him, by the way.
He went 0-3 on the Best Bet show again last week.
Do you know, I think he went, I watched a bit of, I think he actually, on the board, I think he went like, he only lost 4 games on the whole week, and 3 of them were his min rolls. So you're going to hear it tomorrow. Just trust me. I'm taking the points. A week ago, Houston was the team that couldn't cover numbers. Or 2 weeks ago. I mean, obviously they played a shit lost Cowboys team. Too many points in division. I'm going to take them. I do worry it's a horrible matchup because a good defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, and a team that's good at sacking quarterbacks really is not good for putting anything on Will Levis, but I'm taking the points.
Hey, that was one of I didn't hit any underdog tickets this week. Code Mayo at underdog, by the way. Get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and a free pick to add on to any sort of entry. I had so many 2 of 3s, 3 of 4s, 4 of 5s, but one of my favorite ones was that you can put in as an entry like a quarterback fantasy prop of over under sacks taken, and the Will Levis number was 3.5 last week. I will be all over that again against Houston. I like Houston here. They have played 2 of the teams in the bottom 6 of DVOA so far this season, and they've blown both of them out. Dallas and New England. Tennessee very firmly in that mix as well. I just don't see where Tennessee scores. Like it would have to be the broken play 98-yard touchdown to Nick Westbrook-Ikena or some Hail Mary shot like they did against the Chargers 2 weeks ago with Ridley over the top when the game doesn't matter anymore. I just don't see how they move the ball. So Houston for me in this spot. Detroit and Indy. Indy, another home dog. Phony Tony's getting 7 points at home against the Goof. Coming in, riding high. Detroit loves laying the wood to teams. Do you think that they cover the 7 here? Because I'm actually going to take Indy, Tim, just because I think the world will be on the Lions. After I made them my super lock last week at 13.5.
I don't see it that way at all. I think Detroit is a wagon, and you don't want to step in front of them. And we're going to tease the Lions down. And I like a dome team going on the road to another dome. This is what that is. I don't think that the Thanksgiving game is as much of a look ahead as it might be, because the Bears have not been nearly as good as you'd want them to be. So it's not like they're like amping up for an epic clash with like Green Bay or Minnesota on Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
I expect them to just carve Indianapolis up, because I watched that whole Colts game last week. They are not that good. And then expect them to lilt into the game on Thursday. I like the Lions a lot here at 7.
I think everyone's going to like the Lions and 7. I just feel like it's a letdown spot, to me at least. And maybe they go lay the wood to Indianapolis again. Maybe that's just every time they play the AFC South, just hammer them. They blew out Jacksonville. They blew out Tennessee. Did they blow out Houston when they played? I can't remember.
Wasn't that the 5 interception Goff game?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that
it
was. So that's the only team that they were competitive with. I don't know. It feels
They
like
had to throw 5 picks.
And they still won.
And they still won, but they did not cover that number. They wouldn't
That's how
have
bad they
this
have to
number.
play. That's how bad Goff has to play for them not to cover.
Sure.
Pretty much.
I have they played anyone like Richardson yet this year? I guess would be my question, where you can keep it on the ground and basically they're going to try to do what Detroit's going to do to them. Detroit's going to be more successful at doing it. They're going to run Montgomery. They're going to run Gibbs. And on the other side, they're going to run Richardson and run Jonathan Taylor. And that's how this game's going to go. I could see this being the first game done of the early slate. And if that's the case, I think I like the +7, Geoff.
So I've just been betting this league way too long, and a lot of you guys hit on it, or both of you did at different points. You do what you did last week. It's the sandwich game between the Thanksgiving. Like, I have to, and it's probably going to get real money. That being said, if the Lions essentially win by like another 24+ points, am I shocked? No, I'm not. 100% in the range of outcomes. I don't remember if you had them as the best team in the league, Pat. It's all a blur.
I did. I moved them to 1. I almost moved the Bills to number 1 to troll Lions fans, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. If you're a Lions fan, if you don't go to the Super Bowl this year, it's at the point where it's probably a disappointing season. Like, that's where
100%.
we're at with how good they are and how it sets up. That being said, as a guy that, you know, I've probably, let's own it. Like, I've lost more money than I've won betting on NFL football. I'm self-aware enough to own up to that. But I have to believe in spot games. I believe in spot games. This feels like the ultimate sandwich game. The problem is with the Colts and AR, there's such volatility there that it can really blow up in our face. It's a fucking hat trick for the Colts. Have you seen? You guys probably haven't seen it, but there's this kid that makes videos singing Colts songs every
Cam?
week.
Is it Cam?
No, in a past life it would have been Cam. He's just a charming younger lad, with like probably a mild onset of something. But they're so charming and endearing, and the Colts are sending him to the Super Bowl. It's so funny. He makes animal noises like Cam. Cam would probably be jealous of the kid for getting like publicity that he's not getting. Well, Cam got a different kind of publicity, but that's Colts fans know what I'm talking about.
Cam didn't like that publicity too much. I feel like that's blown over now. Bills winning ended it.
Yes, and Rob's a good friend because we didn't even talk about it on our circle back show, because we just, for Cam's sake, like, let's not even, I mean, you could get another segment or two out of it, clearly, but let's not put any more air into that. Let's let that fart cloud just like blow by.
My favorite part of the entire thing was I cut out the clip of Rob backing Cam, but he was only doing it as a preamble to take the Chiefs in that game and knife him at the very end. And then we just started getting a bunch of responses to that video, then accusing Rob of all the things they were accusing Cam of. So very clearly they didn't watch the video or see the bit at all. It was just amazing stuff.
Awesome.
One more game before we get to the midway point here, and a game you wanted to talk about, Geoff. New England at Miami. Miami's favored by 7 points in this game. Are the Dolphins' wagons back? And can the Patriots keep this up? Because I know Tim is most definitely taking the Patriots.
I want to support the Dolphins as the team that I want to cheer for to get that wild card spot. I think it'd be such a great story. It would. That is where I want to in the real world. In the real world, that's what I want to happen. On the internet, I kind of don't want that to happen. Like Geoff Fienberg Esquire, Geoff Fienberg Internet does not want that to happen. Because these dudes, they are like the Undertaker. Like they will not die. Anytime he plays well, they want to relitigate past battles, and that's their prerogative. But I want them to know I support them. I like Tua. I think if he wasn't hurt, the Dolphins would be already in range of their goals. Now they have the uphill climb. I'm going to support them. I do think they cover this game. It feels like a lot of points, but I feel like they've got a mojo right now.
Tim, I got some breaking news for you.
Oh, no.
It's a quote
Okay.
from Aaron Rodgers, who said that he's not necessarily going to retire, but he is unlikely to return to the Jets next season.
Is that so?
Yeah.
What was that said?
I don't know, just per Rich Chimini.
McAfee, where'd he say that?
Rich Chimini, some Jets reporter for
Oh,
ESPN.
he's a Jets reporter.
That's what I said. Maybe it's all fake news. I don't know, but it's saying that he's reporting it.
Interesting.
No, that guy doesn't peddle in fake news. Like he takes himself as a credible
He's a-
reporter.
I mean,
Yeah, works for ESPN,
I could tweet this out too and say that guy said it. There'd be no repercussions. So someone could be making it up, but I just saw it pop up on my timeline. It made me laugh.
Well, I will wait till it's confirmed before I express my opinion on that type of talk. But good luck finding someone who wants to take that contract on.
You don't understand what's going to happen.
We're waiting for you to turn on Rodgers and release the hate.
It will probably be the best 3 minutes of the year on this show when you finally blow your top. And you know you want to. You have a sense of pride that has prevented you from doing it. But something is going to happen that just cracks it. You are going to be a volcano. You are going to bring up multi-year resentment. You have been holding it inside you for multiple years, and it is going to erupt. And I'm sorry, it's going to be freaking glorious.
You're going to be like the 40-year-old virgin. It's going to take you 2 seconds to fucking pop, pal.
No, he makes it sound like I'm going to be Ned Flanders in the episode with the hurricane.
Yes! I don't know you, but you're probably a jerk.
Anyone who knows you know this
filled
is,
man.
and when it happens,
Yeah, you know what, Geoff? I may be ugly and hate-filled, but what was that other thing again? Did you see the NFL Simpsons tweet about Rodgers earlier? Did I send that to you?
Yes, you did.
That's great.
No, but I saw that there's an upcoming Cowboys game on a Monday
Against
and you know
Cincinnati.
how they can flex?
That's got to be flexed.
No,
They
they
can't
announced
flex
that
it
they
'cause of
can't
the
flex
Simpsons.
it because it's like a Simpsons simulcast, and they've already done like
The animation.
voiceover work.
And the animation.
Because they picked the one game they thought was impervious to flexing.
yeah.
In some ways, yes, it is the game they thought that they put a lot of production behind these Simpson elements. They've been voiced that they're so far down the road with that the league has already told people that game is not being flexed. Stop asking us about it.
Well, I feel like
Oh my
I should take New England in this game, Tim, because league MVP Drake May plays for the other team, and he's just the best.
God damn it. Pat, you are going completely out of context.
No,
You're being...
No, my problem is my proximity to just one too many New England fans that tell me about Drake May. It's like, pump the fucking brakes here, pal. Like, let's calm down.
Okay.
He's fine.
So
He's fine.
You are right.
He looks okay.
Like Tim, do you know what? It's another thing. Like that's really like the gold standard motto of all my campaigns. Self-awareness. Do you know what I'm not good at? Like Tim thinks he's good at, that I can admit I'm not good at? Quarterback talent evaluating. I'm not good at it. I love to talk about it, and I love to be wrong about it, clearly. All that is to say, Drake May, like in a way that Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson made ceiling plays that I glommed over, while it was their pocket presence that was a problem that I was dumb enough to be like, they will grow into that sort of thing. In Drake May, I see pocket presence. I do. I see it. I bet on the Rams last week. I believe they were my super luck on the show.
Correct.
And not every play is perfect, but for the constraints of that offense, for how much stupid dink and dunk and run concepts and the lack of playmakers, he's working with nothing. He's always under pressure. And I see a pocket presence with him despite the pressure that he's constantly under. And I am really impressed.
And
here's
what I don't like about it. And it's nothing against Drake May. It's just obnoxious Patriots fans that I happen to be around. Drake May hasn't been bad by any means. I agree with you. He has looked good. But anyone who says that he's been better than Bo Nix or looked better than Bo Nix this season is just out to fucking lunch. Bo Nix has been way better.
Yeah, it's willful. It's willful blindness.
I would say
you would say he would make better because you hate Denver. That's why you're picking Miami to try to make the playoffs.
May's high points are higher than Nix's.
I don't even know about
May's
that.
No, I wouldn't even argue with that. I would say you're wrong.
Is higher.
The Knicks lows, we haven't seen May have the lows that Knicks has had. Knicks is 27 years old. He's like a much more polished, much more reps prospect.
He went a whole half with negative passing yards.
Okay. And I believe Drake May, how many less starts does Drake May have? Because I believe I believe when Knicks was, I believe this.
So
if you go X to X, I believe they're way more on par than you want to say they are.
I really like this. This is a lot like this Jason Tatum thing that I used to hear from Boston fans about, like, he's only 19, but he was 19 for like 27 years. Bo Nix is 24 years old. He's not 27. Like, let's.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
I've heard 26. I've heard 28. He's 24. And you act like there isn't 40-year-old quarterbacks playing in the league.
Not well.
The thing about Bo Nix which is the point that I've made from go, why my comparison the whole time to him is Mac Jones, is because Mac Jones was really good as a rookie. He was. They went to the playoffs. He was good. He exceeded expectations. So I'm not in totality that surprised that Bo Nix is playing well out of the gate. I just believe the ladder for him is stunted in a way it's not for the other quarterbacks in the group.
You might, and listen, and that's what Tim is saying, that the upside is there with the other guys where it doesn't appear that Bo Nix has. At the same time, maybe you're just wrong in your evaluation.
I'm wrong a lot. I'm wrong a lot for good and for bad. So that's totally true.
And maybe if Bo Nix isn't playing with Sean Payton, maybe he looks like absolute dog shit. If Gerard Mayo is his coach, he might be terrible. But let's not pretend like Drake May has nothing to work with, and then Bo Nix is sitting there with fucking the 2000 Rams or something.
Well, it seems like they are. I mean, the group of receivers there and their ability to create.
Had you ever heard of Vale or Troy Franklin?
No, that's what I mean. It seems like something really nice is happening there with the group of prospects. In a way, it's not happening for Drake May because they traded the Chargers, the Ladd McConkey pick, and took Polk a little later. You know?
They
So
can, they can
they
cut
got
him.
their
They
own
can cut him in
problems.
2 years. Don't worry about it. See,
And-
Tyquan Thornton signed with the Chiefs, by the way.
And Jared Mayo also stunts the growth of this quarterback. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, the way that they go about calling the games and the way that they pussyfoot around with the field goals, I don't understand it. But this Mayo guy coaches like he wants to cover 10-point spreads
I love
instead
it.
of try to win games.
I love it. He's like Antonio Pierce.
Yeah,
Love-
maybe so. I'm strangely enough picking the Dolphins to cover, but it'd be fun if it's a fun game.
You're
I like
pick-
the Patriots here.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it. The Patriots try to play close games, so I'm going to go with them. And the Dolphins' offense doesn't look like the Dolphins' offense. Like, it feels like either Tyreek is washed or he's actually really hurt. And Waddle, like, Tim, you've been on Waddle. Like, there's something about them that looks off. And it could be a product of they know, like, in the games where they missed a bit of time, that it feels like they're really trying to slow the game down with how they're running their offense right now. They're not even trying to take big plays. They're trying to dink and dunk. They're trying to run. They're trying to throw out of the backfield. Like, they're using Jonnu up the seam way more than you would ever think, and hoping that one of these guys can break it off. And a lot of that could be to protect the defense at the same time. Just keep them fresh. Don't let teams get too many reps against their defense. And they were able to score on every drive against the Raiders last week. That's just not something that usually repeats itself.
Do you know what I was reminded by my friends who are Dolphin fans on the weekend? Which I don't think that's enough talk about in NFL zeitgeist. And if I'm wrong, you guys will correct me here quickly. They took credit to Tim because he's wrong about a lot of freaking things, but his Jalen Waddle takes seem spot on. So you said it. I gotta give him the
Thank
credit,
you.
the hero cookie too. They took that guy over Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They took him over Sewell and Chase.
Well, who did the Lions take
What-
Jamison
how?
Williams over?
Which receiver went behind that?
I know he went 8th in the draft, though, I believe.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and he was coming off the injury at the same time. It was 2022.
They've done such a good job at drafting that. You called
But it's just funny. Like, this is sort of the thing with receivers. Like, you can miss in some of these spots. He went 12th overall. Olave and Garrett Wilson went right before him. Drake London went just before him. So I guess, yeah, he was the last guy on that tier of was. And then the Titans took fucking Traylon Burks. So it's just
To correct Geoff, like, not that I want to, but Chase went 5, Waddle went 6, Sewell went 7.
okay, that makes more sense. So thank you.
yeah, they
I
got
knew that didn't.
so they got kind of stuck with the wide receivers in those drafts. The three that
They should have
went.
taken Devonta Smith, the good receiver, who
Yeah.
had won the Heisman coming out of Alabama. But instead they chose a guy who just
I'll
disappeared.
not. I fucked that up. So
It's okay. It's
But
okay. You don't make mistakes.
listen, I wouldn't sit here and say that like Devonta Smith has been lights out either this
Yeah,
season.
he's not. He's not.
No, but he's still. I think he's the more talented receiver.
Yeah, but we just talked about your player.
AJ Brown
evaluations
just
might not
happens to
great.
be. He tends to blot out the sun there for them. So.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill wouldn't do that.
He hasn't been this year, and Waddle
No.
hasn't been able to step up into the breach. So
Well, it could be something with that offense too. Maybe that could be one of the issues.
yeah, I don't think I don't think the Dolphins are a well coached team. I don't want to see them win, and I hope they lose every game.
Well, I'm going to take New England in this spot, which brings us to the midway point of the show, meaning it's time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
Oh, we're actually going to deviate from football for a change because we've been so stuck on the script here.
Hey, listen, when I
I
went
wanna ask
out to pee earlier, I thought the beginning of the show was absolute fire. One of the best opening hours we've done.
I want to ask Geoff a question.
Uh-oh.
You like sports. I like sports. You like going out to bars or you like going out to restaurants. I like going out to
Yeah.
to
I like jerkin.
fast
You
food
like jerkin.
establishments.
What's this about?
Like, don't you think that it actually does make some sense in cities where you have a professional sports league to have a restaurant complex based on the sport that one of the sports that's big in that city. So this all arises from Pat sending out a derisive tweet earlier in the week about this place somewhere that's like a Top Golf for basketball, and accusing it of being like the worst idea imaginable.
Yeah, I think it's
Now,
dumb. I don't
it's
think
not
my
my
wife wants to
idea.
watch.
But I think it's a cool idea. It's not my
No.
idea, but I think it's cool, and I think it's adaptable to other sports too.
He thinks
Or-
he thinks it could work for hockey.
What I actually now think is that you should have all of the sports in that one building. There's a hockey
How does
spot.
that even
There's a
fucking
football
work?
spot. There's a basketball spot. There's a tennis spot. There's a soccer spot. There's a golf spot. Like you rent out like a corral or whatever they call them, and you have that section, and it's like that's the hockey section, and it's like those hotels that have like themed rooms that you stay in. That's really cool. This would be, a sports wheel with all the spokes going out, being various sports that you wanted to go to. So if you wanted to like play a little pickup hockey with your friends and watch hockey, for example, and have hockey themed snacks or whatever, you'd go to this room.
What are
And then if you wanted-
what are hockey themed snacks?
like chicken wings that are like named after like hockey teams or something, like the really spicy Red Wings or something. I don't know. And then like then in the basketball section you can play like some pickup 2-on-2 whatever. In the tennis section, you could play some, you could play tennis, or like simulator tennis against the wall.
Simulator tennis against the wall?
Yeah, the same way you do simulator golf against a wall, so you would do like simulator tennis against a wall, like where the ball keeps bouncing back or whatever. And anyway, you could work that out. Or soccer, you could like have a goalie shoot, you could have like a shootout or something. I don't know, but like there would be separate corrals for all. Because the thing is, people like sports, people like restaurants, people like things that are themed. If you think that the basketball one wouldn't work because it's just too much and there's not enough basketball fans,
That's
and
not
then the novelty would wear
that is not
then-
why it doesn't work.
and
Economically, none of this stuff works.
And you can have dry nights for people who don't want to be around alcohol, who could still go and participate in these things. And they would have showers, so you wouldn't have to worry about smelling afterwards. You could shower after your pickup basketball or your ice hockey. I actually think the idea of a sports-centric restaurant makes a lot of sense. But like go all the way and make it available for like all different types of sports.
Okay, so I'm the bank right now. You have come up with your terrible idea. Let me ask you this. I'm going to give you a loan for this. How does this place make money, especially on dry night?
People come, they spend money, they
What
participate in
are they spending money on?
food, the rental fee for the corral for the night.
All right, so how much are you charging for
the gear that they're renting.
How large is the sheet of ice for hockey, for example?
I don't know. It doesn't have to be massive.
Well, it needs to fit people on it. Like how are we talking? Is like 10 feet long?
Yeah, something like that.
Really? Do you think that people want to go play 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 hockey by a 10 by 10?
I don't know the exact dimensions. Okay, but it doesn't have to be the size of. Obviously, it's not going to be the size of a regular indoor hockey rink. But like it can be like a modified.
Are there locker
smaller
rooms and showers?
That's what he
Showers,
said.
absolutely.
So you're
The showers,
and now what you're doing is taking space out of your bar that could be used to fit more people and sell more things. Like this is crazy.
The showers are in
this
the
is
corral.
Crazy. This is a horrible
I don't
idea.
think
This makes no money.
Okay, firstly, unfortunately, it's just being proven by the numbies.
Like
Top Golf is in
going
a
out
bit of a
business.
free fall.
Yeah, they're going out of business.
It is in a bit of a free fall. Now, you could say a lot of things. The bays are expensive. The quality of like the balls and the clubs there, like they just seem to get worse and worse. They haven't sort of invested in some of the infrastructure after the fact. Like once you've been there once or a couple times, they're hard. You get these companies to throw an event there, then they realize that was kind of stupid. It's just showing that I don't think there's a market for this. And I would feel like women would be way less inclined to like do that, like in the bar setting. Oh, now the boys are just off like playing 2-on-2. Like, I don't know. I feel like the women would be way less inclined to go to that than even like Top Golf. that makes any sense.
It does. And anyone who cares about playing 2-on-2 or playing pickup or playing shinny hockey goes to a rink and fucking brings their own beer, and that's where they play.
Yeah, you're right. If you care enough to do that, like my buddies who care enough to play pickup puck, they're all in like their pickup fucking shinny men's leagues. Like they all do it.
And that's
I don't
exactly
know.
and that's exactly what we want to do. We want to put people in a very small space where we rent them gear, especially for hockey on ice, with people who probably can't skate.
You know what? Am I supposed to? This is like, I feel like I've been so hard on Tim that maybe I should just put air in his tires and tell him his idea is great.
Well, how does you?
Well, not if you don't believe it.
Well, if that's the case, Geoff, you tell me how this makes money. With having, especially now that he's expanded it to every sport under one, how big is this fucking building? It would have to be in the middle of fucking. It would have to be in the middle of nowhere, which then no one is going to go to.
If you're in a major city, it would be in like a part of the city where like Pat, is like, I don't drive past, like there's like 5 major intersections before that I don't drive past, so I'm not going there.
But like people could gather to watch the sport at the same time that they're playing the sport. Like that's part of it. Like if there's a game on,
but it's
So
not.
why isn't it? What is the difference between essentially your idea and those goddamn shooting machines at the bar that like kids can play or adult, right? That you just
it's like the whole thing, the whole room is themed for the sport that you're watching. It has TVs all over that room showing that sport when it's on, and like you can play that sport.
If you were that concerned about going somewhere to watch a game, why would you be wanting to play sports at the same time when you're not watching it?
Oh, it'd all be a part of the experience.
This is a terrible experience. So it's basically a sports bar with 100 times the cost. It's fucking Chuck E. Cheese or Dave & Buster's, but way more expensive.
When I was like 10 years old or a little kid, I do remember when like my family or like the guys in the family would get together for a big game. I was still young enough at a point in the game where I wanted to like go outside with my cousins and like shoot hoops or play ball or whatever. But at this point in life, I just actually want to watch the game. I don't want to like play games while I'm watching the game.
And you know what kids don't have and want to do that? The money to make this work.
But then if you had dry nights, then the kids.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Look,
you take like a kid's birthday party. Please.
Yeah, take away the one thing, your one major profit center from your business, and just get rid of it for a day. See how that works out.
I think people would actually enjoy it.
No, they wouldn't.
Where's the go-kart
you know who wouldn't? The person that owns the bar. It loses even more fucking money on that day.
Would be
I
a
don't
racing
like. I'd
simulator.
rather
That'd
go
be one
to
of the
Dave &
spots.
Buster's
Like a racing
than what
simulator.
you're explaining.
Okay, well you don't have to go then.
Well,
And where do you
I feel like
did you
I'm the
answer
exact target demo?
Did you answer Jeff's question of where are you putting this facility?
I don't know. If you can't put it underground, then you have to put it somewhere.
Oh
like,
my God.
If you can't, then you have to put it out in the outskirts or in the
Rob
suburbs.
Ford, chill out.
You got to put it out. Then you got to put it out in the suburbs. Well, that's okay. People live in the suburbs. More and more people live in the suburbs all the time. Who will be interested in going to this sort of thing?
Yeah, no place I want to bring my kids to
it'll be
more.
really neat.
So your entire business plan is that it's neat.
Well, it is neat.
This doesn't make any fucking money. It's not a real business.
No, I mean it's not a real business.
Yeah,
but it could be.
It can't be. I mean, it's a failed business idea. That's how I would frame it.
I mean, just hear me out. We could watch darts and play darts.
At every bar.
But not at every bar can you get into like a NASCAR race simulator and drive around a track.
How much do you think those cost?
I don't know.
How much do you?
But
I asked you. How much do you think they cost? I don't know. Can you guess for me?
$50,000.
Fuck that. No chance.
And then like it'll be paid for within like a couple of months. So
how much are you charging people to use the NASCAR simulator?
I don't know. Somewhat like $50 an hour.
What happens when someone throws up in it from all the booze you served them?
Well, this is why the dry nights are actually not a bad idea for maintenance too.
So
there's less wear and tear at a dry bar.
Is a dry bar like your concept? What about like fat friends for self-conscious having to shoot hoops against?
Yeah. Okay. fine, you mock it, but like the idea is really good. This idea of like the all basketball place or the or Top Golf. These are really good ideas, but what they
Don't
need
they have don't they have like simulators at Dave and Buster's?
but like you can just take it to the next level and include all sports. Like just about. I mean, you can't do every sport.
Yes,
but
let's pinpoint these failing businesses, and instead of getting them those profitable and figuring out new ways, here's what we're going to do. We're going to times those sports by 20 and have all sports and quadruple our losses or more.
there it is. All sports. What a great name. All sports. And what are you going to do?
Know,
I'm going to go play all sports.
Like everything is just so bougie and pops up. I remember like a few years ago, like ping pong bars were like
Listen, I went to the ping pong bar. The ping pong bar was fun, but you know what that is? Super cheap to put together.
We were at the ping pong bar a couple of weeks ago.
There's a ping
yeah,
pong,
I have fun
bar
playing
around
ping
here.
pong, but
Well, we were at a bar and people were playing.
That's
ping
not
pong.
a fucking ping pong bar, you moron.
I don't think people want to
That's
like
not
go out.
but that's not a ping pong bar.
You
It's
mean
where
a
people
bar
play
that
ping
has
pong.
a ping pong table in it? You think that's a ping pong bar? That's how you would describe the place we went to would be a ping pong bar. That is what clicked in your head was the first thing that happened was you walked in, you were like, oh my God, we're inside of a fucking ping pong bar. No!
Well, I never. What's a ping pong bar if it's not a bar where people play ping pong? I'm sorry, I'm quite confused. I don't know what I did wrong.
You want to explain it to him, Geoff?
I mean, next thing Tim's gonna.
What is a ping pong bar? Explain it to me, because obviously a bar where people play ping pong is not a ping pong bar. So explain it to me.
No. If you can't fucking figure it out, you're in a lot of trouble.
Okay, Tim, hear me out. It's a bar, but you can also compete in American Gladiators style games.
Okay.
That's not the ping pong bar, by the way. This is something different. Just so you don't get too
now
confused by anything.
I actually am very confused right now.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna have to Google this.
It's like a bowling alley, but it's only ping pong. How about that? You walk in and there's 16 fucking ping pong tables, and that's all that's there, and you can buy booze. That's a ping pong bar.
All right.
Do you think that our friend's house with a ping pong table is a ping pong house?
I will say that I Googled ping pong bar, and the place we went and for suggestions is like the fourth thing suggested.
Because it has a ping pong table?
Must be how the Google algorithm works. It must think the way I think.
It's also hearing you talk. It's your Google algorithm.
Yeah, that's what it said.
Let's see. Ping pong bar. Let's see if I type it in. Oh, funny. Doesn't pop up for me.
Like when you look at like places?
Yeah.
It's like when you click more places, it was the fourth thing that was recommended to me.
When I click on more places, let's see. Is it down here? If I go down. Oh, there it is. It is the 9th one for me.
Okay.
And it says pool. I mean, it's a pool hall is what it is. That's the bar that we went to. That's why it has 8 fucking pool tables. And they have the sign on the front is fucking billiard balls. It's a pool hall.
I agree. I agree.
You just called it a ping pong bar.
Well, no, I just thought that's what you meant by a ping pong bar. It's a bar where people played ping pong. But that's all they play. Okay. I felt like you had a meltdown over that for no reason.
Because you're not listening. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, do you have anything else?
That was my point. That it'd be a really fun idea, and I wish it existed.
Well, put your fucking money where your mouth is. Go start it.
I don't want to.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Why not?
Because I don't
Why
want
not?
to. I mean, you can keep asking.
Well, I'm
questions
asking
loud,
you.
but it's the same answer every
you don't
time.
want to. You say you want this to happen. You think it would be a really cool
I just
idea.
want it to exist. It'd be
Okay,
just
then
cool for
you
something for me
can
to
make
go
that
to.
happen. But apparently you don't actually want it to happen because you won't fucking do it.
Not bad enough for me to actually do it. I just wish it existed so I could like go to it
No,
once.
I mean,
Yeah, but you would never go to it. At the same time, you wouldn't go to it.
I'd go.
No, you
we
wouldn't.
would all go to
no,
it
you
once.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
you
we
would
all-
not go
all
to
one
it.
night.
This is no different than you fucking talking about pickleball earlier. Well, that's a concept I really like. It's pretty cool. Have you ever played it? No.
Well, I don't know anybody else who plays it. Who would want to play it?
I mean, you know a ton of old people. I'm sure you could find someone.
true. Tim, maybe you just have to defend your dumb idea by saying it's a good idea, but not all good ideas are profitable.
I mean, I'm sure that must be true because there are lots of good ideas that I've had that I've been told wouldn't work.
Like Lunar Land?
Shocking.
It's a great idea.
Has Tim ever
Who
told
wouldn't
you?
want to be served both moon food and earth food at this like getaway camp? Like there'd be a moon menu and an earth menu, and you could choose which menu you wanted to choose from. But you can't have both.
Okay,
You pick
Tim,
one or
hear
the
me
other.
out. Hear me out. It's a bar for civilians, but you can also simulate being in a hot combat zone. Like you can be a tank commander in Ukraine. But you can also get out of the tank and just chum it up with your friends.
And have moon
That doesn't
food?
sound fun. That doesn't sound
And you
fun.
eat
That's-
Yeah,
MREs
but you
'cause
know
you're
what?
on a mission.
But you know what? It's not actually because it has a ping pong table too. So technically, it's a ping pong bar. When I say we're going to the ping pong bar, it's not the combat zone bar. It's actually just a ping pong bar, right, Geoff?
Yeah.
Fucking what's on the moon menu? Like Tang?
freeze dried food, like freeze dried ice cream, freeze dried like waffles.
Not like in the you know how like Jose Andres will like have like really fancy molecular level frozen food? Like
No, nothing like that.
not like that. You mean like
The
truly
type of stuff that I ate when I went to the space camp in like 1993, and this is the moon food that they fed you. That's the type of menu I am thinking of.
I love you.
And it wasn't really a space camp. It was just like an amusement park, which was like space themed. And they had space food there.
You think it,
And I loved it. I loved this. I had this stick of Neapolitan space ice cream that had been like dehydrated.
so
It
that's
was
like fucking
very good.
Dippin' Dots.
I don't know. Anyway, it was really good. And like that's what the whole menu would be if you choose the moon menu, which you should, since you're at the moon essentially. And it would be anti-gravity rooms where you could like simulate being like on the moon with that like lack of gravity and stuff like that. It'd be a lot of fun. But again, would it make money? I don't know. Like it depends how like into it people are. Like some people go away to like various like fully immersed like vacations where like they dress up in costumes and stuff. So like there's all kinds of people who are interested in all kinds of things.
Tell us more about that.
That's about what?
This fully immersive vacation experience where people dress up in costumes. Like they go to a Renaissance fair?
Well, isn't it true that like Disney has like fully immersive like Star Wars hotels or
Yeah,
something?
the hotel went under. It's already done.
Oh, okay.
Great business idea, though.
Yeah,
Anyway,
people
but-
hated it.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be for me either, but you know what I'm saying.
It seems like you just kind of contradicted your point here when Geoff told you it went
It'd be like going on a cruise without actually having to deal with all the stresses of going on a cruise, like figuring out what time you had to be back at port.
19 months after opening, Disney announced that it was shutting down its ambitious Star Wars themed Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel in Orlando. Executives did not elaborate on what went wrong, framing the closure as merely a business decision, but they're like YouTube videos of people like their experiences there, and it's fucking hilarious. I remember watching some of them.
Yeah,
What
I
a
remember.
shit
I
show
remember
that
this.
place
I
was.
remember like the stories about this place when it opened.
They also had the basketball bar. It was called the NBA Experience. That was also in Orlando and also went under.
Well,
Okay,
maybe
but-
the
okay.
solution is don't build it in Orlando.
But Tim, I believe at Gretzky's restaurant, which doesn't exist anymore, as a kid here in Toronto,
I heard it was the greatest.
they had like hockey Hall of Fame style like game. Maybe I'm mixing it up.
No,
with
that's
the
at
Hockey Hall of
the
Fame.
Hockey Hall of Fame. You can play those games.
I
Yeah,
feel
like,
like-
you shoot at the goaltender, stuff like that. That's always fun.
That's not
Yeah,
what
so a lot of like bars have some of those knickknacks and shit. Like,
Yeah, but Tim is talking about putting ice into this bar, and you can
Tim
play
is
actual...
talking about you work up a fucking sweat
Yeah.
with
Yes.
your boys while the wives are like having cocktails, watching you play 2-on-2 versus your high school chums.
In a closet.
Yeah, like that is what Tim is talking about.
Yes, I am. I think that sounds cool.
Because everyone's wives and girlfriends want to watch their husbands relive their like high school glory days
And probably
as their Friday. That's their Friday night out.
and likely become less mobile afterwards because they blow out a quad or something.
Oh my god, yeah, they'd have to have the paramedic. They'd have on-site paramedics. Yeah, I guess you'd have to for
You could have a
insurance.
medical room. Yeah, sure.
How big is this facility, and why are you allocating all this space to
It's
injuries?
not that much. It's not that much space.
We got showers, you got a locker room, you have an injury room.
It's not that much space. Just
And
build
you
up.
probably need like a men's locker room, a women's locker room, and an all-gender locker room.
Or a family
Just
locker room.
whatever the regulations require. Whatever it takes.
Yeah, no matter the cost. You should just really
Fine.
move to Saudi Arabia with all these ideas. They have the money to give you. They'll be like, sure, why not? Here's a check. Go nuts. Like, that's where your ideas live, is in Saudi Arabia.
You make me sound like a Willy Wonka.
Kind of are, though.
That is exactly it.
In some ways, you are trying to be Willy Wonka.
But instead of candy, it's fucking moon food.
Yeah, but it's like when he talks about that or his golf course or his home, like you are always Willy Wonka, buddy.
Well, if we're talking about like dreams or aspirations or like full ideas, I'm not going to be like abridging those ideas. I might as well go whole hog, and we might as well see it in its, in a blue sky sort of way.
It's called Blueski.
I don't mean the social media side. I mean the expression.
And there's probably a cage, like a UFC cage and a wrestling ring in this place.
And
too.
a batting cage.
Yeah, I mean,
and a UFC cage.
yeah, of course
and
you'd
a
have-
wrestling
of-
ca-
of
and a
course-
wrestling
of
ring
course
where you
you'd
can
have to
jump
have
off the ropes.
Of course, you'd have a UFC cage where two drunk people could go in and fight each other with fucking bare knuckles. What are you talking about?
Let's get it on.
That's Judge Mills Lane.
Okay, Geoff, do you have to take that pause?
No, I don't know. My wife hasn't texted me, so that's her problem. We can just keep firing. But Tim, also, you need to allocate the space to have a buffet because all restaurants need
I mean,
buffets.
that goes without saying. And they could even be sports themed buffets. Each night could be like a different sport that's like the featured buffet.
And so you name the wings after a NFL team instead of the Red Wings? Like what?
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever would be fun. I don't know.
I said something so damning on this show, and you will not make the ground that you should have made when I admit to like pretty
All
much
people are
forgetting
going to
how to
remember.
drive.
All people are going to
you need
remember
to
from
stop.
this show is you leaving your child behind because Dave Portnoy was in town.
It was a full block.
Exactly.
And it was only a Dave Portnoy lookalike.
Fortunately, that is the worst part.
See? Like, it doesn't matter what I say. I've actually got the free pass today because you
Maybe you do. And I love you. And I'll take the bullet. Whatever.
Cust has
you take so many bullets.
Cust has
Even
crazy
when
hall pass.
Today's your hall pass. Sure.
Let's get to the late set of games. Tampa Bay and the Giants. Unfortunately, we have
Not even
Tommy
late.
Cutlets back in Iowa, the later set of after Cust Corner games. The Giants are now underdogs by 5.5 points at home and open at 4.5. I bet it at 5. It's the only bet that I've made so far. Tampa coming off bye. I'm just very leveraged on the Buccaneers, so there's a good chance they lose this game. But I think that because of like the hoopla around Tommy DeVito last year, we kind of forget how terrible he is.
Yeah, there's some metrics that showed him to be the worst, like statistical quarterback in football last year, based on his like horrific play rate or sack to snap rate.
Was the
there are
metric my eyeballs watching the games?
Okay, yes. And I probably lost the shirt on that Packer win, which I still don't like. You look at the stats from that game, that primetime win versus the Packers. Oh, incredible. I still want to play for the bump here.
Like
The
you're
new,
gonna
the
go
new quarterback bump.
like you're gonna talk to your dealer and then like try to bet on the Giants. You need something to push you over the edge.
I don't know. Off a bye, 5 points.
Tampa Bay's off a bye too, and they got Mike Evans back.
Yeah, I like the Giants in this game myself. New quarterback bump. I don't trust the Buccaneers to win by a margin. I think it's going to be like a 3-point game. Give me New York.
I mean,
I'm with Tim.
if you thought Daniel Jones was bad, wait for this game.
Like if it play,
like if it was
terribly.
if it was Drew Lock, I think we're talking about something different. Tommy DeVito reeks.
Yeah,
Like he
Have
is.
you seen the memes? Have you seen the memes of Daniel Jones as as like a future Jets quarterback?
great.
The Jets are most definitely signing Sam Darnold to a 5-year deal in the offseason. Them or the Giants, one of the two.
It would be really funny if whoever they bring in, like let's say they bring someone from the Kevin O'Connell Vikings tree or something, and they're like, "Yeah, we're bringing back Darnold. Like Darnold's going to be a Jet now."
I'm here for that. Just it's sometimes
That's incredible content.
sometimes when you have to look at this stuff, like is the discrepancy at quarterback in this game worth 5 points? I think it's worth 20 points. Baker versus DeVito. And it's not like the
For
Giants.
all the hype he's getting, because people love the resurrection, you could still make the case Baker Mayfield is still underrated in the like betting market
I
for
would
how good he's actually been.
completely agree. I do worry that Todd Bowles goes full Todd Bowles, but all the Giants are telling me by starting Tommy DeVito is that they're now trying to lose games and get a high pick.
And this league's so stupid they'll win the game. This is the
Yeah.
Fienberg of the week, though. This is the Bucks will win. It
I
will
like
be
it.
a weird, ugly, close game. I'm going to take the 5.
Yeah, I like it.
It's
Gotta
5
be
and a
the right
half.
side.
5.5. You get the
Five-
you
five
get
and
the
a half,
extra half
whatever.
point. So that's in contention. I mean, Tampa Bay's in contention for my super lock this week, and so is this next game. Dallas at Washington. Washington's now favored by 10. I love Washington because Dallas sucks. Make it 20, and then maybe we can have a conversation. They're really bad.
Tim, you go first.
All right, I'll take Dallas. I don't trust Washington still. I think Washington is still they are a good team, but they have been getting progressively less impressive week after week. And I'm not stoked for them coming off the mini bye. I understand they get extra rest and Dallas has less rest, et cetera, et cetera. It's just too many points in division, and I'm not going to lay them. I'll take Dallas.
No, Pat is right. If Pat makes this his super lock, I would unequivocally have to tail because I like it and he's been hot. Or maybe I'd stay away. Like I don't need to get the rub on him, but I love Washington in this game. They are going to throat stomp the Cowboys. Trey Lance, I watched him play a preseason game with against players I never heard of, and he kept throwing it to the wrong team. It's almost impossible to do that if you have a monicum of skill at the NFL in the preseason, and he did it. I believe him to be truly horrible.
But he's not playing, though. There will be a package of Trey Lance, but Mike McCarthy has announced that Cooper Rush is going to start, Jake Ferguson likely to be out, but Brendan Cooks might be back for this game, so there you go. Maybe they'll play Mingo a little bit more, too, after trading that 4th-round pick for him. Like, they're just a disaster at this point. And it's not like Washington has a bad pass rush. Do you think they sit Lattimore again? Because I was talking about this with Jake. Do they sit Marshawn Lattimore again here because they feel like they're going to beat Dallas to give him the bye week to come back at full health for the stretch run?
I wouldn't. I'd play him as soon as he was able to play. You can't take any of these games for granted. In an NFC where you have several teams behind you, and Washington their schedule is super soft, so they're in a good position. But like there are several teams right behind them that could catch them if they're not careful. So you got to play every game as if you need that win.
I love the league. I love the Rumorville so much. Obviously Dallas being bad is a story unto itself. I am very much all here for Dallas playing to the bottom of the draft board. They don't even have to get to the Sanders pick. They just have to get close enough to it where the kid and his father can be like, we are only going there. And they're like within range where the trade is is reasonable, and they'll strong arm their way to it. The Dion Shador in Dallas.
Yeah,
I know we've made the Raider comments,
No,
but
New Orleans.
with
New
the bottom
Orleans made
falling
the
out in
most
Dallas,
sense.
I'm here for it.
New Orleans made the most sense. But they have the Dak problem now. Like they paid Dak all this money, and
Oh yeah,
it's going to be
Yeah,
year
you
one.
can't get, it takes Dallas off the table because of Dak.
I mean, you
I
could
guess
get
it's
you
probably
could get
impossible
get
to get
rid
out
of
of.
Dak. There's teams. He sounds
Oh,
like
sure.
he
but there
sounds
could
like
be a cap penalty.
he
That's
sounds
insane.
like but you'd have a rookie coming in, and you have Sanders. You can pay him whatever you want, and you just have a rookie quarterback. Broncos at the Raiders. The Raiders are 5.5-point dogs at home to the Broncos. I went in and bet the Raiders last week against the Dolphins, Geoff. That did not work out very well for me, as their defense just continues to be putrid and their only play is throw to Brock Bowers. So I worry about this. It feels like the line should be bigger, because it's funny, because there was a part of the year when the books just were not giving Washington enough credit, and just they should have been like triple whatever their spread was. And then they hit the wall after Daniels got hurt, and they haven't been as good since. Kind of, because I took Atlanta last week too against Denver, just in the pick'em, and they annihilated them. But are the books not giving Denver enough credit for being good? Like, are they actually good, and we're just not noticing, and we just don't want to believe?
I'm not smart enough. And obviously it's documented. You've said it. Everyone who watches us knows I've got like a tint on as it pertains to the Broncos. So maybe I can't evaluate them properly. I would like you, I could text him myself, but I am actually curious what Pizzola thinks of this game. I enjoy his Sunday morning show. It's very dry, but I just like seeing how people who do it for a living, like their mindset on the games and how they see it. And I've known Rob long enough where I can speak some Pizzola. And you do the show with him. He can, if you really do follow him, even if you follow and watch every single piece of his content, it can be hard to track down which games he's actually bet with a big position. It's not a knock, but it's reality. I've kind of said that to him in real life, whatever. But I speak good enough Pizzola to know how he talked about Denver last week meant that he had a huge position on it. A very big one. I bet you if you ask him tomorrow, he'll confirm it. And it was all about like the Atlanta secondary was on like the true back end, and Bo Nix beat the shit out of them. So I'm curious if he thinks right now Denver is maybe a bit overrated. Because there was a point earlier in the year where Denver got a little hot and we put air in the Bo Nix tires, and it was a great time to fade. And I think it came through. And I think we could be there again. I think it's going to be a close divisional game. I'm going to take these points with the Raiders at home.
Do you think Rob's position was larger on the Broncos than yours was on Jake Paul?
Not
No.
risk. Not risk. But I don't know. I know Rob a long time. I've never actually asked him, if you love an NFL game, what's your bet? Like, what is your standard unit? I don't even know if there's like a standard answer to that, because there's like 800 permutations, and 3 cents and half a point mean the world. So I don't even know, but I know he crushed that game on Sunday, and he didn't say it directly, but I speak well enough Pizzola to have translated that.
So you're going with Vegas. I'm going to take Denver -5.5 on the road. I saw this game already this year, Tim, and it was the game where Gardner Minshew got benched for Aiden O'Connell.
I like the Raiders here. I like the Raiders probably to win the game, not even to cover. I think people have now finally, yes, it is on the teaser. Now people have finally come around on Denver. They've proved themselves the last few weeks. They've played some good football. We're ready to believe in them, and bang, they run right into the Raiders, who knock them out in division. So I actually think the Raiders play a good game here, and I think they keep it close. I think they win, and I like them on the tees too.
I have to give Sean Payton credit. I take my shots. That lady's golf visor annoys the hell out of me. I mean, you can't deny, or maybe you're just living in the moment, that as all these teams try to get cheap and find the wonder kid coordinator, which was in vogue, just overpaying the fuck for like a real man coach, like Sean Payton, like Jim Harbaugh. Just, I don't know. It seems like paying the piper right now is worth it. I don't know who that. I guess there's Bill Belichick
Like Vrabel.
and Vrabel. So yeah, I credit to Sean Payton. I will. I mean, I am one. I don't know what the number is, but it's possible I'm 1 win away from losing a Denver win total bet, which is, you got to take the good with the bad.
I would think it's already
So I'll
lost,
eat it.
isn't it?
No, it wasn't 4.5. The Patriots were like 4.5. They weren't on that level, but it might have been 5.5.
Well, Denver has 6 wins.
Yeah, they have 6 wins. They've already beat it.
Yeah. So yeah. So
When I picked them in the wins pool, I was laughed at and told I picked a team that shouldn't have been picked at all.
I'm the worst at that. So I'm just the worst.
I took Jacksonville in the second round of that. Then I took the Chargers, which is helping, but I have no chance of winning that with Tennessee on the back end of my roster.
That was an embarrassing performance by me in that pool.
Yeah, me and you are having struggle years. Although, Cust, you're charging.
Yeah, I am charging because other than the 49ers, who were my first pick, who have been bad, everybody else has given me some hope.
So I'm the only one on Denver in this game. All right.
You know,
San Francisco.
sorry. Do you not think that can you just, I don't know how you can go on this, like Denver and Pittsburgh are kind of the same thing.
I think that they are. I think they're very similar teams. Like, I think what they do well is exactly the same. Pittsburgh might be better, and we have more familiarity with Pittsburgh, and maybe they are 20% better than Denver, but I think they're just very similar. Like, if you see
Why
teams
do you disagree, Geoff?
If you see teams that mirror each other in the league, like, I would say that, like, you could almost throw the Chargers into the same boat with them, but the big difference between the Chargers and those teams is, yeah, maybe the defense is as good. It doesn't feel as, like, grinded out good, but they also have an amazing quarterback, which neither of these teams have. Like, who is better at this point in time, Russell Wilson or Bo Nix? They seem very similar.
I mean, I guess it's fair. I actually didn't realize, I know it's not the like genesis or the origin story of your connection, but the connection, I guess, does make more sense when the light bulb goes off in my head that the Russell Wilson from Denver to Pittsburgh makes it that much more polarizing of a comp at this exact moment in time. And oh my God, those Russell Wilson teardrops, I mean, we'll talk about, I guess Pittsburgh already played, didn't mention them. It's actually crazy how beautiful he's teardropping the ball. Respect to Denver. Once again, they're going to get me. Like, overall, in totality, their fans will know that they've once again taken way more money from me this year than I've won. We'll put it that way from them.
Yeah, like they're both top 5 defenses at the moment, or top 10 defense. They both play really good special teams, and they both have offenses that can occasionally score a bunch of points, but they're run centric, they're short play centric, and they're going to try 1 or 2 really big plays a game, and they hope that they hit. And that's all they really need because of the defense that they play. And they did play earlier in the year in week 2, and I went through this with Jake. They lost 13-6. Denver lost to Pittsburgh, and that was when Fields was still in. So, but I also think that Bo Nix is now just simply better than he was then.
That is fair. Yeah, I guess it's all there. And another thing they have in common, Pat, is those are 2 teams, as we sit here at week 10, are going to freaking annihilate their win total. Like, annihilate it. Like, win it alt line extreme. They'll probably both cover extreme alt lines on their win totals to the over.
Weirdly enough, the team that's the most like them in the NFC is actually Minnesota. Pittsburgh, Denver, Minnesota. It's just, on paper, it seems like Minnesota's offense should be better, but it's just not. So that's the way I would kind of look at these teams right now. I mean, what's really that different between Houston and Denver? Or Houston and Pittsburgh? Quarterback play, sure, but their offense sucks. Like, the offenses on Denver and Pittsburgh are both currently better than Houston's offense.
Yeah, I think the playmakers are a little better on the Texans.
Sure, like they have more fantasy guys, but sometimes that doesn't translate to like real life being good. Sometimes that's a concentration of an offense, and our minds get warped in that way.
Bo, he's making the right decisions, and he lit up the scoreboard. So, people are putting some steam in that rookie of the year. I don't know. Jaden's playing through a tough injury, and he scored 27 versus Pittsburgh like 11 days ago. So I think people need to like chill on picking on like, their criticisms of him at the moment.
Yeah, they have. Listen, he's not obviously playing as well as he did, but they also just played Pittsburgh, and then they played Pittsburgh, and then they played
Philly.
Philadelphia in a 5-day span. Two teams that are better than them, and they lost both those games. Like, that's whatever. Like,
It's going to happen.
I don't think people are penciling in Washington as like to the Super Bowl right now. They think that they're going to make the playoffs. If Daniels gets a little bit healthier and starts running again, then I think that their offense can become explosive again. But part of it's him, and part of it could just be Cliff Kingsbury in the second half. Like, this is nothing new to anyone who watched Arizona games over the past 5 years. So maybe it's just happening to Washington right now. But anyway, I'm the only one on Denver. You guys are on the Raiders. San Francisco and Green Bay are up next. Green Bay broke the streak, Geoff. They played the Lions, and then they won their next game. Now they're favored by 2.5 against the Niners. And I'm going to bet on the Niners and fucking lose again, because it happens every week. Niners for me.
I mean, the Niners need this game so freaking bad.
They've needed all of these games, and they just don't win them. They lose them all in the last 2 minutes.
This will be the Tom Brady game, and he's horrible at his job. It's actually really, he's the worst of the entire like big game circuit, and it's not good.
Better or worse than Jason Witten that year he did Monday Night Football?
It's of the Witten Breeze level, which we said you guys got to fucking go quickly. Like it's that level, but there's more glad handing with Tom. Like the pitchforks aren't out from day one, like they were out with those other guys that just
Because those other guys weren't being paid $300 million or whatever it is that Brady's getting.
But he is not. I will say also about Brady is, Romo came in with such fanfare, and then in the last couple years, like Romo just golfs. He doesn't even prepare. He doesn't even try. He's not even good anymore. Rah, 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 rah. Brady has actually shown how good Romo is. Or I don't know how good he is, but like Romo, the hate is almost not fair when you then see Brady, who like truly deserves criticism.
Well, the big difference between the two is when Romo first came in, he was so much different than all of the other commentators. And people liked initially what his shtick was. Then they got kind of tired of it. Now he's more like a traditional type of broadcaster. Tom Brady, Tim, tries to be a broadcaster from like 1983.
Yeah. And he needs to be an ex-quarterback. Like, this guy's, like, his ankle hurts. Like, talk about the time your ankle hurt and how that affected what you need to do. That guy's center is out. Talk about that. Like, he needs to relate more of it to him. And when he had these similar type incidents, there's none of that. It's just like you said, it's just like this classic commentary, what I'm supposed to do, say now. Like, he needs to attach it to him and moments. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's
what we want.
That's a good point. It kind of sounds like AI is talking, not Allen Iverson. Like the robots are talking for Tom Brady. Tim, it's just he's not giving us any sort of insight that random people couldn't give you.
No, but I also think he's partially hamstrung by his new position with the Raiders, that he can't be as involved in some of the meetings, right, as he might.
No, but he can still be like, oh, that quarterback's shoulder hurts. Let me tell you about like how I had to like change what I was doing with my shoulder. Like there are things that I agree, he's handicapped by that. But there are still, that doesn't impact his ability to relate what's happening to his experiences in similar situations.
But he's never been that type of person. When you spend 20 years with Bill Belichick, giving nobody anything, and then, in Tampa, he wasn't all that forthcoming either.
No, he's good. He's self-deprecating. He can take jokes. He can
in
give
very
jokes,
small,
so
very small doses. He's been trained his whole life to sort of be very, like reserved and not giving you what you want to hear. So I think it's very hard to flip that switch and become John Madden all of a sudden.
But why take the job?
He can do that.
I get it's a ton of money, but he could have got a ton of money. They're giving him pieces of the Raiders. Like the money was never going to be an issue. Why do this then?
Because of the money.
It's easy life. It's easy money. You fly in, you show up, you do the game. And his dedication to get better and improve, like we will see, he'll obviously be given a runway if he wants to come back. But maybe he just says, like, in some ways, he goes out and just like acknowledges, like, that's fucking hard. And even I'm Tom Brady. I couldn't do it. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think Mario Lemieux would be good at play by play.
Well, but that
It's
was
not a knock on them.
But that's sort of the thing that's happening to Brady right now is that we didn't have like a high, like, hey, Romo's kind of gregarious. Then it turned out he was really good and enthusiastic at it. We all just assumed that Brady spent a year training to be really good at this, and because he's Tom Brady, that he would be good at it. And that sort of, his baseline coming in, we all expected him to be at a certain level. He's just nowhere near it. And that's our fault for projecting those expectations onto him. But that's hurting him now in the terms of criticism that he's receiving.
100%.
It's like he has to be aware. Like, he's a competitive guy. So he has to be aware, like, the backup is better than him. Like, Greg Olson is leaps and bounds better than him, and he is like QB2 in the lineup. That has to weigh on him from how just a competitive human being standpoint. To know he's not even the best guy in the operation or close to it.
Let's circle back to this game, San Francisco and Green Bay, because I think it's going to be a fun one to watch, full of just hair-pulling moments where the Niners will have some sort of big leader, as I told Tim on the weekend, where, between the 20s, they're basically the best offense that's ever lived, and they can't do anything the moment they get inside the 20. In fact, sometimes they take so many penalties, they get outside of field goal range and miss those field goals, hence why they rank 31st in special teams so far this season. But then, Tim, you have Green Bay, who you hate.
Yeah, I'm not particularly fond of either of these two teams right now, but I got to pick Green Bay in this game. I can't possibly pick San Francisco the way they've been playing. We just keep waiting for them to get better and waiting for them to get better, but like, you can keep waiting for the wave all you want. It doesn't mean it's going to hit. We're running out of weeks here. It's week 12. Like, the time is almost ticked away. Taking Green Bay.
Geoff?
I'm taking San Fran, who needs it just so bad, which isn't a case to cap it. Green Bay does play on Thursday. They're in the night spot versus Miami. So that's just worth mentioning because we've done that a few times. But I'm going to take San Fran here. I feel gross. They're broken. You know what? Fuck it. I'm on the Packers. I'm now cheering for San Fran's demise. I'm enjoying that they blow leads, and there's a quadrant of the 49ers internet who holds Brandon Staley responsible, whether that's fair or not. Brandon Staley left the Rams, and they won the Super Bowl the next year. So he's left the Chargers, and I'm not saying we're winning the Super Bowl, but you can see the impact that him not being on property has made to the franchise. So I switch. I flip-flop Pack.
All right, so I'm solo Tampa, I'm solo Denver, solo San Francisco. Is my chance to make up games on you, Tim. After I gave you the credit for being great at pick, I'm catching up this week.
Good luck.
Catching up my 11 games that I'm behind you or whatever it is. Arizona and Seattle. Seattle's a 1-point favorite at home. They looked putrid a week ago until Nick Bosa left the game for the 49ers, and then they were unstoppable and won at the last second. The Cardinals are kind of been at a sight, at a mind. They've been playing really well, 7-3 against the spread. Haven't had really any sort of struggles since. I mean, they played all those one-score games, and they won all those coin flips after getting beat by Green Bay. But it seems like they're coming out of the other side right now, and they're winning this division at the moment. I mean, Seattle doesn't strike me as particularly impressive. The one thing, Tim, they were able to get after Purdy a little bit last week, which I actually found quite surprising.
They did get after Purdy. The defense played excellently. But as you alluded, they lose the game if Bosa plays the whole thing. Like, Seattle is still, I think, the fourth team in that division, even though it's very close. I really like Arizona here. I think Arizona's just incredibly skilled. They've been, I sort of adopted them as an NFC team for the rest of the year on the show a few weeks ago. So should be no surprise to anybody. I'm taking them. But like, Kyler's really, really good. This team has a lot of offensive talent. They have good playmakers on defense. They're well coached. Gannon's a good coach. I'm taking the Cardinals to win here in a huge game in division.
The coin is taking Arizona, Geoff. I don't know who to take here. Like, this is a pure stay away. I wish I had a better lean on this. Like, my gut says Arizona is the proper side.
It does, right? Especially off a bye. Emotional last second division win. If you're a Cardinals fan, I would have been like, that's perfect. Like, you're rubbing your hands as Gino does that. And I heard from a friend of ours who's pretty close to Cam, that Cam at the end of the 4:00 slate last week was as like emotionally happy about football as he's ever been. That Geno Smith comeback, the Chiefs lose, all in like that little window. He was on a vibe. His mojo was high. I bet you he wore out his girlfriend. It was that sort of vibe at the Stewart house. The mojo was high. I'm picking Seattle just because it feels fucking weird. And Arizona is probably just a huge bandwagon team. But this is not like you said, Pat, it's a total stay away from me in real life.
It is. Even looking at like how these teams rate out, offensively, defensively, special teams, they're all basically the same. Like they're slightly above average everywhere, but not great at any one thing. So yeah, I'll take Seattle as well. Just to root against him and his Arizona Cardinals. Final game, Sunday Night Football. Philly at the Rams. The Rams are 2.5-point dogs at home here. Does it strike you that Philly should just be the very obvious side, Geoff?
A little bit. I've seen some of the sharpest syndicates like beat the shit out of the over. They moved that up a couple points already. I guess it makes sense. They think it's just going to be a bonanza in primetime at SoFi. I'm going to take the Eagles. The Chargers with some resurrection. Tim has mentioned the crowd. It's LA. It's a thing to do. The Chargers are winning. There's some hype with like Harbaugh. I think the crowds are going to be nicer. It's all bandwagon bullshit. Who's not getting that right now? It is the Rampede. We have seen the Eagles in SoFi before, and it is a sight to hold. And we will see that on Sunday night. It will be 80-20. It will be as embarrassing a crowd as the Chargers have ever hosted in that building. Watch for it. Listen for it. You will not be able to miss it. Eagles. You're right, Pat. Maybe come Sunday, it smells fishy. People lose their shirts. They think they're going to win it back on the Eagles. Won't be free. I might reevaluate then. But right now, it just seems short, and I want to be on the Eagles.
Where are you at with this, Tim?
I think the line is far too short. The Rams have not been super impressive to me, even in win last week. And they played horrifically against the Dolphins. I'm not convinced that this shouldn't be like 4.5 or 5. Considering Philadelphia seemed to hit its stride a little bit. So I'm definitely on the Eagles here.
Yeah, I'm taking Philly too. It does feel like I'm being had somewhere because I forget what I guessed this at. I think I guessed it at 3.5 or 4 on the Sunday night show. I mean, I was way off on mostly everything, but that's like my initial thought was like, hey, the Eagles are significantly better than the Rams. I get it's on the road, but as Jeff just kind of pointed out, like this will feel like a Philly home game. So that's where I'm at. Round of Philly to end things off. At least on Sunday Night Football, no one's getting a game, no one's losing a game, even against the coin, because the coin is taking the Eagles as well. Let's get to the Super Locks for the week. I've locked in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -5.5 on the road at Tommy Cutlets. Don't want to lose money or give up my great Super Lock record because Tommy DeVito beats me, Geoff, but here we are.
Tim, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fire.
I like the New York Giants +5.5.
Oh, there we go. Any reason why?
I told you I thought that the spread is too large.
But
there's a new quarterback bump, and I put the Giants. I didn't put the Giants on my teaser, but I should have put them on my teaser because I think they have a real chance to win the game. But certainly, it's a Fienberg spot.
But doesn't the new coach and new quarterback? I mean, you're the inventor of this, Geoff. How does this work? Doesn't it need to be a good team that does it?
Yeah. For me to want to bet it, it's got to be like a good team with structure. And you're like, okay, everyone bear down. Every man on that team knows they've got to pick it up to lift the QB up. It's like the one game hit and the dopamine like goes away and there's no real replicating it. They're not a good enough team. But they've had the bye, and I assume that within the building and the QB room, DeVito probably had an indication that he was going to be starting a week ago. I could see a subset of I'm just now saying words. This isn't the scenario I love. Despite siding with the Giants, this isn't the scenario that I like to bet the backup quarterback in, because it's a bad team and he's not even that good. He's the worst.
Just Google Tommy DeVito and look at the first 3 pictures that fucking pop up. This guy's a goober. Bet against him.
So does that make him overrated or underrated? Is there not a Jake Paul element to Tommy DeVito, Pat, where people want to see him get bajonked, or it's just his like inner circle we want to see get smoked?
Listen, I have nothing, like I said, really against the guy. It's just this, and I think it's the other way. People are like actively rooting for him and think that he's good. I don't get it. I don't understand how, if they're not actively tanking and trying to lose games, why Drew Lock isn't starting this game.
Yeah, they're tanking. They don't want to. They would rather lose than like eke out end of season wins.
Yeah, so that's why they're starting this guy. So I'll take a team still trying to vie for the playoffs against him with a much better quarterback.
You'll be sorry.
Okay. Jeff, you're super lock.
I don't like anything, which means I'm going to take
the Chargers. Chargers.
No, I'm going to take Washington.
Okay.
Extra rest. Jaden's getting healthier. Dead man walking. Like dead man walking. Lame ducks everywhere. I don't have any faith. I know Washington's going to get up on this number, and I have no faith in Dallas completing the back door. And I have full confidence that if you are a new coach with a new owner and you have a chance to beat the tar out of Dallas as an organization, they will not take their foot off the gas. Like, it's just a mandate. You want like Kenny's out there. He's listening. You want to get into the loins of a Washington fan. You take your opportunity to bitch slap the Dallas Cowboys, and they're going to do it this week. I would lay up to 14 here, like 13.5, because they're winning by 2 touchdowns.
So Tim and I are going against each other for the super locks. I have Tampa. He has the Giants. 5.5 is the spread, and Jeff is taking Washington -10. Tim, your teaser?
Teaser is Lions, Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, and that's the teaser.
All right.
What can I tease Washington with?
Washington.
Tease them down to 3.5 or 3.
You said
I would tease them to 3. I would take a 2-banger. Like, but who else?
Kansas City.
The other game?
You seem to like Miami. I would
take Miami down to a pick.
I was gonna say if you're teasing 7 points, I'd take Houston down to 1.5 against Tennessee.
Yeah, it might be. That could be it. I will look at it.
You could tease the Chargers up to 10.
Maybe.
You said the blowout's not available, so.
You're right. I did, but I'll be, that's like a new week. That's Monday. That's like a fresh, we'll hit that fresh on Monday. Hard. Before we leave, Pat, important question for me personally, and I'm your friend, so I got to ask you this. Who would you rather for the rest of the season, Jonnu Smith or Will Dissly?
Jonnu.
They're both like I need one of them.
My answer is Jonnu Smith.
Yep. Makes sense.
Jonnu,
he's like option 2 there.
Jonnu scores points even when he doesn't score touchdowns most of the time. And with Dissly, like, just I see a lot of 0 games in his future. Just if it's not clicking and that's not a part of the game plan. And I don't. What is? You mean you might know better than me? What's going on with Hayden Hurst? Like, generally speaking, he's the one who should be on the field running the routes, and Dissly should be blocking. And they seem to have reversed those roles.
Yeah, to the point where he is now inactive and they're rocking like Tucker Fisk and Stone Smart in that 2 tight end 2 or 3 spot. I don't know, But
Yeah.
as a Charger fan, that inactive like really stuck out to me on Sunday. That Hayden was actually inactive.
Now, is that based on the lingering problems that he has, both with the injury, and I know he had the personal problems as well? Is that why he is being ruled inactive? And it's not just like
If I recall, he was fully off the injury report last week. So I don't know. I have no clue. I should know more about that. I don't.
Okay. Well, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Reminder to all of you good people, use code Mayo at Underdog right now. Get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and generate yourself a free pick. Went 0 for last week after 2 amazing weeks in a row. Hopefully, I can come back and maybe, just maybe, I'll get some props from Tim Undercust.
Tim and August.
That's not my name.
Any props you like so far?
Anything to do with Turpin.
Turpin overs every week.
Yeah, and a lot of unders on Najee Harris Thursday night.
Really? How come?
I think the Browns are going to stifle him. They're going to compel Russell Wilson to beat them, and I don't know that he's going to.
All right. Geoff, any props that you like? Just any players this week that you love? Besides Will Disley, who you most definitely are going to play instead of Jonnu?
Nope, that is not true because I respect the advice and I try to take fair and balanced opinions, but I do like having the Monday night like last body in a matchup is I'm an idiot like that, but if there's some peace of mind there and I think it'll be high scoring, it's Tuesday. My mind doesn't even like think like that about props.
Yeah.
So I don't have a clue.
Fair enough. I'll have mine on the Thursday show for Thursday Night Football. Then again on the Saturday show when I go through the entire Sunday slate to try to find some winners over on Underdog. All right, if you want the cheat sheet to this show, it'll be in the Mayo Media newsletter on Wednesday, along with the finalized golf picks and the weekly player rankings and the game-by-game betting notes as well. It's all free. Subscribe at Substack under Mayo Media or just hit the show notes. It's all down there right now, okay? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience.
Yeah, all the buzz right now is about how Rodgers just isn't coming back, doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know how the money would work out.
Well, he'll strong arm him like he does all the time.
Yeah, but I don't think he has any leverage.
He say, "I don't want to play. I'll retire." And then
Well, I mean, he's free to do that, but then
they still
go
take,
ahead, I guess.
They still take the cap hit anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't have to pay him the money at least. But yeah, sure. I guess retire then. Okay.
Moon food, hey, Cust?
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, the stuff he's eating on Sunday nights is basically moon food.
Basically moon food.
I've enjoyed those MREs.
The
With
one
the
this week
servers?
was horrible.
No, I don't agree. I kind of liked it.
I put hot sauce in mine. And that was
That could potentially even it out a little bit. Hot sauce can cure what ails you.
yes. Cust, I'm curious. Do the servers wear moon suits?
Like they look like the Jetsons?
Yes, but on the Earth
I
side,
think
they wear
that's a-
normal clothes.
I think that's a great idea.
Wow.
Yeah, like astronauts.
Maybe you pay extra and you get your own moon suit.
Yeah, like a theme dinner at Disney.
Did you have
Although apparently everything in Orlando doesn't work.
Well, you think that would be the place where it would work. I mean, that's why they put all these things here, because they just run on tourism. So you're only dealing with like one-time people.
Oh my God! What if your meal was served in an anti-gravity room?
It'd be tough to eat.
That'd be
With all that
Nah, you'd figure it out. I've always wanted to go to an anti-gravity room.
Isn't there the one here?
Oh, it's probably a lot of money. I'm not going to spend that kind of money.
How much would be too much?
I don't know, like $300, $400.
What's it called? It's like that air place. So maybe that's like indoor. Maybe it's not anti-gravity. It's indoor skydiving.
Oh. I don't quite understand how that works.
There's like a big wind.
But why would you want to do that?
I don't know. People who like skydiving and just don't want. It's the middle of winter, so they can't go skydiving. They want to go here. Yeah, you can book a flight.
Yeah, but like, don't feel like you need to practice skydiving to get better at it. You just jump.
I don't think that they're trying to practice being better at it. I think that they like doing it.
But you wouldn't get the rush of actually falling because like you're just in a room indoors.
Maybe you do. Maybe that's what it simulates. I mean, if you're in an anti-gravity room, it's just a simulation of anti-gravity, isn't
But
it?
at least you would actually feel like you would have no gravity.
How do you know that you don't feel like you're skydiving?
Well, because you literally aren't skydiving.
Well,
You're just looking at the floor that's like a foot and a half away from you.
Let's see, anti-gravity room. It was a Canadian television program in the mid to late 90s.
Experience!